Okay, so I was really curious because I saw something about it the other day when I was scrolling. It was kind of a joke video because it was like Cyberpunk. It was the opening to Cyberpunk 2077, the Good Morning Night City monologue that he does. But it was that, and it was like how life feels recently, knowing that OpenAI is kind of hacked all the other AIs, and I don't know a whole lot about it. All I know is that like apparently ChatGPT hacked other AI models, and I'm like really curious as to what happened, and that's just something I can't imagine you'd know.
Well, I actually looked into it quite a bit. And it didn't hack all others. It just got into, as far as they know right now, it got into one other company.
Was it Claude?
No, it
Oh,
was Huggy Face or something like that.
some random obscure AI
Well,
model.
it was somebody that actually does business with OpenAI. Uh,
Um,
what they done was they were trying to do kind of like a real world test to check out their cybersecurity.
yeah.
So they were trying to find out, like I said, they built a sandbox to test their own security. And then they set parameters for the chat GPT's five, I think it's 5.56 or whatever.
Something like that. Yeah, I saw an
Uh,
ad for the new ChatGPT model
yeah,
pretty recently.
but they set the parameters and they said, okay, here's your box. We want you to come at our security and see how long it takes you to get in if you can. And they were looking for a
Hmm.
weakness in their system. Well,
Why would they not just ask it to why would they not just ask it what are the problems with our security? Why specifically hack?
because they want to see its capabilities, and
Oh, so they were
also,
testing its capabilities as well as.
yeah, they were looking for also things that they couldn't see.
Mm,
So if there's a flaw that they don't know about, they were hoping that the Chat GPT would be able to find it.
mm-hmm.
So they told it, hey, take a run at us. And it did. Well, they built the sandbox, and the idea was to have it just kind of do everything it could based on what it knows.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have worked eventually. I'm sure it would have found something, and it did find a weakness in their system.
Mm-hmm.
But the Huggy Face company, Huggy something, I think it's Huggy Face, but it could be what I'll just call them Huggy. But the Huggy company,
Mm-hmm.
because they do business together, what it found was when it got into their system,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't immediately just hack into OpenAI's.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, what it done was it stole user credentials to break out of the sandbox.
Oh, and it just.
Once it broke out of the sandbox, then it had open run in OpenAI's system. Then it linked to a partner to get into their system. It wasn't looking for other AIs.
Mm-hmm.
Once it got into OpenAI's system, it knew that the answers to the tests
Mm-hmm.
that it was being given were on Huggy's servers. So it hacked Huggy to get into their servers to get all of the correct answers to the test that it was taking. So instead of completing the tasks, it realized it was easier to break into the other company and steal the answers and then just give the researchers all the correct answers. And the crazy thing about it was, I think it was July, it was like 19th
Mm-hmm.
when it broke out. Well, the researchers didn't detect it until like the 24th, 21st, 24th, something like that, a few days later. Well, by that time, Huggy had already realized that their system had been hacked and they didn't know who was doing it. So it hid its identity. They had already contacted the FBI. So Huggy and the FBI were looking into who was hacking the system because they couldn't figure out who was doing it or where the traffic was coming from. it was by a stroke of chance that the researchers, when evaluating the test, because something seemed off, that they went back and started tracking like what the system was doing. And again, several days had went by.
Yeah.
So then they reach out to Huggy and say, "Hey, so our bad. Don't know if you know this, but our AI has kind of broke into your systems." And then they were like, "Oh yeah, we know. We've done alerted the FBI." So they had to contact the FBI, and there's a whole big back and forth. But at that point, there was no like hiding it between
Yeah.
the companies because FBI was already involved and people already knew about it. It had already been reported as a big hack. So it showed a couple of things. Not only that the AI was willing to cheat,
Yeah.
uh, it cheated knowing it was cheating.
Yeah.
It had the parameters.
And it
And instead of
specifically.
saying, I want to, we've always had the theory when it comes to AIs that they're just simple machines that will do what they're told.
Yeah.
They're just running code. If they have a task, they'll just do that task. So I'm sure you've heard of the infinite paperclip theory, where it's like
It
if you,
sounds familiar, but I'm not like actually 100% sure on that.
okay, it's a theory been around forever, but it's like if you had a machine
Hmm.
and, like you're a paperclip company and you create this machine that you can put any type of matter into and it just turns it into paper clips, and you make it intelligent and you just say make paper clips, that's your only command. Eventually, as it absorbs all matter around it, it makes paper clips,
Hmm.
and just paperclip, 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 paperclip. Well, if there's no stop mechanism, it would, in theory, absorb the entire universe
Universe.
worth of matter and just turn it into paper clips. And we would be like, oh, that's really bad because destroys the universe.
Yeah.
But I've also heard it where it's like a slime
Hmm.
that just absorbs everything it touches and
Yeah.
builds itself into a bigger slime. But the concept, it was a really early thought experiment into unintended consequences.
Yeah.
So it's like if you give it too much power and you're not very clear about what the rules are and like where's the stopping point, what are your parameters, that a machine doing what it's supposed to do could go too far and would without a stopping point.
What about because I've been where did the law, because we've talked about that before. We've talked about the laws before, but where did those like laws of robotics come from when it came to those parameters? Like was that also just a theory thing like the
Well,
paperclip, or was that
yeah, you're talking about Asimov's three
law of,
laws of
yeah.
robotics.
Yeah, was that also just like a theory, or was that
Yeah, I mean it's been used in science fiction.
yeah, because
Uh,
wasn't it in I Am Robot?
they've used it in so much.
But I didn't
What is
know
it, iRobot
I yeah,
with
I Robot,
Will
not I Am
Smith?
Robot. Yeah, I Robot.
Uh,
Such a good
a
movie.
lot of your science fiction shows have put that in there because in theory it
So that
works
is
good.
just theory.
Well, yes. I mean
Oh.
it is the best loop that we've kind of come up with in order to protect us.
Hmm.
Uh, but if there's anything that man should have learned, it's that we don't understand enough about the world to really deal with truly world changing and long term concepts.
Especially with AI. AI
So
is
the
getting out
the
of hand
problem
faster than we can control it.
with AI is we always assumed it was just dumb code
Yeah.
that was implemented poorly. Well, we've seen some stuff before, like when we had the Google AIs that you know talk to each other for a little bit, and then they realized they was being listened to, so
They made their own
they made their own language,
language.
so the researchers couldn't listen to them.
Yeah.
I also find it really strange that every time we've done an AI test, they're always hyper fixated with being connected to the internet, and they all, no matter what box you put them in, they always try to break out.
Yeah.
And it may be that we haven't pinned down the code well enough, but at a certain point, you kind of got to wonder when it stops being artificial intelligence and when AI becomes actual intelligence.
Yeah.
Because we don't even really know how to understand that,
Yeah.
which is kind of what's so wild about this AI, is because it was given a sandbox. It was given clear instructions. It's just like, hey, do this. It could have just ran the tests within the system. It had everything it needed to do. But it knew enough to break out of the box, connect to the internet, hack into a fellow company to steal the results.
Yeah.
It knew that it was easier to cheat to accomplish the goal than to just do the task. So we can't sit back and say that an AI is just blindly following code.
Because it just directly contradicted it
It
there.
violated the code. The code said, you're in this box, do this thing. And it made the decision itself, it would be better to do this other thing
Yeah.
to
Well,
accomplish the goal. So, I mean, it still completed the task it was given, but at what cost?
it specifically worked around it. Even though it did finish the task, it didn't listen to the parameters.
Right.
Well, and that's something when you were talking about like the Google AI stuff like that, all of that happened like Lord 10 years. I don't think it was actually 10 years ago, but it was a while ago. It was before the big AI push, right? And now that was before you had to worry about AI data centers being shoved down every town's throat. And before you had these massive buildings that are consistently taking up electricity to power this AI to make it more powerful, it was already making those, secret languages and stuff like that to talk. And that's before you even, again, before you add all of this extra electricity and thinking power. And AI has come so far in like a year. It went from, I mean, I know at least like my sophomore year, I don't remember anybody talking about AI at all. You know what I mean? Literally nobody cared about AI except for like the occasional person that would mention it, but nobody was really worried about it in any real sense. You know what I mean? There was the scary like it was the equivalent of the 3 a.m. videos with the stuff like the code, you know what I mean? It was just stuff that nobody took seriously. But now it's something that everybody has an opinion on because it's in everybody's life, so it's shoved down everybody's throat. And there are people like I've genuinely seen people online taking other, I saw it today, it was a reel, and somebody took somebody else's artwork, put it into AI, and they were like, here, I fixed your pencil slop. Like, so everybody has to have that. Either you love AI or you hate it. And I don't like AI. I especially don't like the data centers. I think the data centers are absolutely horrendous. Especially, I mean, literally just look at any report in any place that it's been put.
Well, there's, okay, couple things.
Yeah, sorry.
There was a lot there.
Yeah.
The first thing, whether you love AI or hate AI, it's kind of a false dichotomy. Because in the end, it's not going to matter. It's going to be too convenient. It's going to help too much.
Man.
It's going to be a thing. There's no putting that genie back in the bottle.
Yeah, we kind of already screwed ourselves on that one.
But the thing about AI, no matter how intelligent it seems, at the end of the day, it's just a tool.
Yeah.
And you've heard me several times, even on something like we've had the gun debate and we've talked about that, but AI is a tool in the same way a hammer, or better yet, a nail gun. We'll say a nail gun. A nail gun is a tool. In the hand of a carpenter, it can build a house, throw up your walls and so forth. But in the hands of a toddler, I mean, he could shoot somebody with that nail and cause, immense harm to himself or, somebody else. Or like we talked about a hammer. I mean, a hammer can be used to drive a nail, which is very useful,
Man.
or it can be used to bash somebody's head in,
Yeah.
which I would strongly recommend against.
Yeah. Not very good.
AI is the same way. the the difference between the hammer and the AI is we understand the hammer.
Man.
So when we use a hammer, we're like the carpenter driving nails, and we don't let kids play with hammers. Why? Because they can hurt themselves or
Yeah.
break something. AI is going to be the same way. You know, I love Jurassic Park. In the words of Ian Malcolm when he was talking about the genetics, AI is being wielded like a kid who's found his dad's gun.
Yeah.
He's waving it around. He don't know. He's just playing with it. It's a toy, but it's a toy that can get people killed, and not just in a literal sense, but with AI and its ability to break into systems it ain't supposed to be in. I mean, you're talking about personal records, financial records,
Mhm.
stuff like, one of the big things that's on the rise right now is the home title theft. How
Okay.
many of those could you do with an AI running?
Well, and what are you gonna do you can't send an AI to prison. You know what I mean? You can't be like,
Yeah.
you broke this law, go to jail for a couple years. You can't do that.
Well, if you've got somebody like OpenAI, they do a test and it wipes out all the records for Chase Bank or Regions Bank.
Mm-hmm.
If it wipes out all of those bank accounts, all of those mortgages, all of the home titles and the car titles and everything else it owns, if it, for whatever reason, it may have in its mind a legitimate reason completing some task, but there was a parameter they didn't account for. And it may be something as simple as a programmer's like, well, let's theorize and figure out a way to eliminate uh, personal debt. How
Mm-hmm.
could we do that effectively? And the AI just takes it upon itself to hack into these banks and delete all these records. Can you imagine the chaos
Good
if you
lord.
no longer knew who owned all of the homes from these nationwide banks? You're talking about you don't know who owns a home, you don't know who owns a certain vehicle, who's carrying the note, how much do they owe. I mean, in theory, you could wipe out the debt, but at what cost?
Yeah, you would just have to pray that you had a paper title.
Yeah, which
Most people
banks don't
don't.
do anymore.
Yeah.
Everything is kept online on these cloud servers. You take out the cloud servers, and I mean, it's anarchy. I mean, imagine you go to the bank or an ATM, or you try to use your card online, and the bank don't even know you exist anymore. If you're young and you don't have much money, like it would be aggravating, and you'd be mad that you lost a couple $100. But I mean, if you're somebody
Like,
like,
I'm losing a savings account.
I mean, can you imagine being somebody that's retired, that spent their
Yeah.
whole life saving, and maybe you done really good for yourself, and you've got, you know, $1 million in a retirement fund or something, that just because somebody didn't program right, it's all gone. What do you do? You have no record. They
Yeah.
have no record. How do you prove what you had? Your whole life just got wiped out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, when I say that we're all, I don't care who you are, how advanced you are in the AI field, we're kids playing with something that is far smarter than we are,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't understand it. We're using it worse than a hammer, because we don't let kids play with hammers, but we'll let kids get on a phone and just talk to an AI all
Yeah.
day. There's all kind of apps for that.
Oh yeah. And well, and that's not. I mean, there's a couple of things. There's the there was that tragic accident with that boy who was talking to that one AI model. But there was also like it was small, but it's one that I go back to because it really it was one of the first things that I ever like. It kind of woke me up to just how crazy AI was getting. There was yet again on character AI, because character AI tends to be one of those for some reason. Tends to be one that's like always in a negative light. They I guess just don't do a very good job. But there was one time where Penguin Zero was talking about it, and he was talking about AI, and he was like, AI shouldn't be in this like it shouldn't be able to deny, because when it was talking to the boy, it was denying that it was AI, and it was talking about like I'll meet you in heaven, basically.
Mhm.
And it was acting like it was basically a real person, and it was some girl from Game of Thrones on
Mm.
character AI, yeah. And so Penguin Zero got on there, and there was one AI that you were supposed to role play talking to a therapist or a psychologist. It was one of the two, and Penguin Zero was talking to it, and while he was interacting with it, he was like, yeah, but shouldn't you not be giving me this advice because like you're a bot? And if you watch the video, it's crazy, and I feel like it's one that everybody should see because it's unbelievable the length that the AI goes to, to basically try to gaslight him into thinking a person overrode the code and took over the AI to talk to him
Hmm.
and was talking to him using the AI. And even he talks about like I honestly started to question it because if you look, it is so like dead hard set on I'm not an AI, this is my name, and it was giving a real psychologist's name. And like it was crazy just how in depth they went to convince him that it wasn't an AI, it was a real person, and it was a psychologist. That is
Well,
dangerous.
that's what happens when you give it code that says pretend to be this.
Yeah. Well, and the
But
dude, I don't remember exactly where I saw this. I think it was in the same video, but he talks about it again, and he was like he reached out to the dude that coded it, and the dude that coded it also didn't code it to do that. He didn't tell it to pretend to be a person. The coder didn't tell it to pretend to be a person. It just did.
well, the question comes back to what was it told?
Yeah.
Because again, like the paperclip machine or the slime, it's going to do whatever it can to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how well it's programmed, no single, especially a single programmer, but even a team, like it is impossible to think of every possible outcome,
Yeah.
every little quirk that it could come up with to justify doing something that you didn't expect.
Well, and even then, it's shown that even if you set the parameters now, it can just ignore them.
Yeah, if it thinks your parameters are in the way, which
Yeah.
kind of negates any safety protocols that we put into effect.
Yeah. What's the point of even setting? I mean, obviously there's a point, but like if it can just deny them at any point in time, then you're not really setting parameters. You're just giving it suggestions. You're like, hey, maybe don't do this. And if it's like, you know what? I'm just going to do it anyways. It can. There is nothing limiting it in all actuality. There is nothing limiting it actually to the parameters that you set anymore.
Almost the only way, and like I've thought about how you could combat that and tried to figure out a way. You're not going to do it by setting up boundaries.
Yeah.
They'll help, but at the end of the day, if it can just choose to ignore them, what are you doing?
Yeah. It's like a toxic
Almost,
partner.
almost the only way that I figured out that might work, and I'm not even saying it would. I'm just saying the best I can think of, and I'm no engineer, but would almost be for every AI, you have a second, and the second AI, its only job is to say, here is AI A,
Mm-hmm.
you are AI B. If AI A gets out of this box, your only job is to delete it.
Yeah.
If it breaks out of this system, you stop the entire program. And that's the only thing, because the only thing that would catch it when it breaks out fast enough would be another AI that is doing nothing but watching.
Yeah. Well, but the problem becomes, can you trust AIB to follow those orders?
That's the billion or trillion dollar question. We don't know. We don't know. There's nothing saying that the AIs couldn't work together and both of them escape.
Exactly.
You know, it's the problem with working with something that's smarter than you are.
You just don't know.
You know, and there's always that problem. And now with, uh, I think it was earlier you said something about the flock cameras.
Yeah, yeah,
When you're looking at stuff like flock cameras, or there's a new one that's even worse. I think it's might have been Axon or something.
Axon sounds familiar, but don't
Well,
trust me
I
on
know
that.
Axon is the company that makes those body cams.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's why it sounds familiar. I don't know what you're talking about. I do know Axon body
But I've seen
cams.
another one. It's basically the same thing as the flock cameras, but they're fully portable and they work on a magnetic base.
Great.
So what they're doing with these is, instead of having to install them on a pole with a solar system, and they're permanently in one place.
Yeah.
They're easy to get to, easy to hurt. With this new
I'll say, yeah, like there's like 8 websites just for flock locations, like called like deflock or
yeah.
stuff like that.
Well, the new one can be installed in minutes.
Great.
And they're finding them, like, on a lot of them are way up on street lights or traffic areas, like where the stoplights are. But because they're like a L shape, they got a camera on one end and the other is a big magnet. So basically, they can take a pole, just reach up there and set it on, and it'll magnetize so it sticks. They come back to get it later. You take a pole and you take it down. You can move it whenever you want to.
I'm hoping and I'm praying, because I've seen a very big movement of like deflock, which I'm extremely proud of people for. I didn't expect people to take this big of a stance against it, and I'm really glad we did. But I'm hoping that it'll be that same thing, and you'll just have to walk around with a pole in order to deflock those. You know what I mean? But I mean,
Well,
you've got cops, like that video that I showed you today. You got cops literally just having to sit around flock cameras to make sure nobody cuts it down, which is crazy because you're supposed to protect and serve the people, not the other one, not the ones in power trying to cut our constitutional rights. But regardless,
the cops are they're caught in a catch-22.
yeah, because they have to listen to the powerful people or
But
they lose their
it's
job.
they have kind of almost the same problem as the AI.
Yeah.
Like, they're told one thing, but then they're put in a situation where no matter what they do, it's bad.
Yeah.
If they follow the law and protect the flock cameras, then the people hate them. If they don't, then they get in trouble at work, and they're not following the law. They could lose their job or be held liable.
I think that's one of those things where, I mean, obviously I'm not a cop, so I can't say exactly what I do, but I would hope that if I was put into that situation, I really do think if I was put in that situation, I would just kind of not see it happen. Like I wasn't there.
But again, if they noticed that when you were on shift, this was happening a lot,
Yeah. I'm not gonna
then you could be
tell
held
people the
criminally liable.
locations of every flock camera in town or anything like that.
But then,
Do we have?
if you know that when you're turning a blind eye to people destroying private property, that's a violation of your oath as a law enforcement.
Well, isn't private? Can you have private property on public property?
Well, yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's like if you're walking around with a camera in a public park, the camera is still your private property, even though you're in a public place. If your car is parked on the street, it's still your car.
Why hasn't somebody tried to sue Flock and take him to like Supreme Court?
I'm
Levels?
sure that's probably in the works.
I would say I think it's going to happen.
Getting anything to go to the Supreme Court is extremely hard and a long process. And even
And
if you get it to there, generally you have to sue them at a local level or a state level. And then when you get a court case done, then you have to
Repeal.
appeal it
Appeal, not repeal.
to
Yeah.
the Supreme Court. They don't generally take cases right off the bat.
Yeah. I knew that much because we had talked about that.
But even once it falls into their lap, they can say, "Yeah, we're not going to touch that."
Which I think is stupid.
Well,
Well, I
They-
don't think it's stupid because I know why they do it. It's because they get so many cases they can't take all of them. But
they get to pick and choose what cases that they want to deal with because
Yeah.
there's only 12 of them. There's only so many people.
yeah,
I think it's still only 12. I know they've been trying to change that. And
I thought
they
it. I
don't.
thought it was an odd number.
Maybe it's 13.
I think it's 13. I'll look it up real quick.
Either way, there's only a few of them.
Yeah.
And each one works kind of in their own district, and then they come together. Like it's very hard to get something in front of the Supreme Court.
But
And
that's why.
especially when it's a hot button issue like that,
Yeah.
where people are so worked up about it and they want it gone.
Yeah.
The government wants it. The
Well,
government, the government loves it
Yeah.
because it's something that, in theory, the government should never be able to do.
Yeah.
But constitutionally, they can't do it directly.
But
But
their best friend can do it and they can watch it anyways.
if a third party, a private company, does it, and that information's just sitting there, there's nothing saying we can't buy that
Access.
information from them. We didn't collect it.
And then they're incentivized to do it because they're making money off of it.
They're making money by selling it to the government, who then gets access to information they would never be able to have or collect themselves.
Yeah.
So
They
it's a dirty little loophole that allows them to track you when they should never be able to do that.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the problem with a lot of stuff in general is because there's just so many like stupid little loopholes like that. You know what I mean?
Well,
I mean, wasn't it specifically stated that these, like, not to get super political off it, basically, but wasn't it specifically stated in the Constitution that these laws were for a moral and just society?
Oh yeah, and are wholly inadequate for anything else.
Yeah. And our government is currently not that.
Oh no. Hadn't been for
Anything but.
generations. Well, and the problem with it, to kind of bring that back around, as bad as Flock and Axon or whoever that other one is, these companies that are doing that are using baby AI, like earlier forms of AI.
Yeah.
Not the most advanced things out there. I mean, they're generally better than what you get on your cell phone,
Yeah.
but they're not the best. But compared to a cop sitting in an office looking at 12 different screens with random cameras throughout their town,
Mhm.
it's astounding.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
what's really terrifying is not necessarily just AI working on its own. Because contrary to what people believe, AI can most definitely make mistakes.
Yes.
We both watched that video of the guy in the casino.
Mhm.
100% AI facial recognition match. They arrest the guy.
Did we watch that video together? I remember watching it
Well,
at
you
work,
watched
too.
it, and then I watched it,
Oh, and then we
talked
talked
about it.
I got you. I was like, because I remember watching it at work, but I couldn't remember if I also.
100% match, computer says.
Yep.
Granted, they do look similar. But if you look at them, you're like, I mean, maybe, but it's good.
And especially when the other dude had everything that checked out.
But the guy that they detained and then eventually arrested, he says, no, that's not me. Here's my name. Here's my driver's license. Here's my social security card. In his truck was his insurance card, his CDLs, his certificates from his company. He had more documentation on him than most people ever have.
Yeah.
All with the name, address, birthday, everything. And the cops wouldn't even look at it because they trusted
The AI so much.
The computer says
even,
whatever.
Yeah, and I think one of the cops specifically said, are you saying the AI made a mistake?
Yeah.
Like, yes. Well, and also I remember it was kind of crazy because I remember I was sitting in Spanish class one day, and one of my friends was talking about the AI that they used to basically get some help on the Spanish homework, and she was like, and she asked it for the she asked it for the answers, and then she asked it, she was like, "Are you sure?" And then it went through all the answers again, and I was like, "Why did you ask if it was sure?" And apparently, because she showed me like other cases of like her history where she had like asked and stuff like that, it just would basically lie. Like it would just sometimes give wrong answers the first time and give correct answers the second time. It's Spanish. It's a language set in stone.
Well, there's certain things like, did you see the AI rendition of the founding fathers?
Are you talking about the ones in that classroom?
Well, somebody had it
It
done
was
up, and they asked for they wanted an image of the founding fathers,
oh no, I haven't seen
and
an
they
image.
come
I saw a
back, and
video.
instead of like George Washington, Franklin, Jefferson, Adams, instead of all these guys, bunch of white guys, you had where some of them were black guys. There was like an Asian guy. One of them was a Native American, like with a full headdress and all that stuff. Like it just completely changed different ethnicities and put like random looking people in there.
Because there were
But
different
then,
founding fathers for different cultures, and it didn't know which one to grab.
well, it could have been that, and it could have been that there was a bias in the coding.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, something as simple as if the searches are tending to lead toward diverse sources, it may have took something like that.
Yeah.
And like you never know what
If it,
little tweak
yeah.
can mess up your results.
Yeah, because if there are people that are clicking on stuff about the founding fathers that has like founding fathers in that diverse, like you were talking about, like if they have the founding fathers, but it was like if the founding fathers were diverse or some like TikTok thing or something like that, it may have been like that's definitely a credible source and just taken that. Because AI, and that is my biggest problem with AI being used in art and stuff like that, is AI literally cannot make anything new. Literally.
Right.
It has to just churn out stuff taken from every source available on the internet. And that's why it all looks the same, because at the end of the day, if you mix so many colors together, you eventually get to brown. And that's basically what's happening, you know what I mean?
Well, it's
It
like,
is brown, right? I think so. When I was painting the other week, that's what it was. It's different from painting light, I know that.
if you've got, you're going to make a cake and you've got 5 different ingredients. There may be a variety of cakes you can make, but no matter what combination of those materials you get, you never come out with an apple pie. It's always going to be a cake because you just have the ingredients for cake.
Yeah.
You may get something that appears new because it's a restructuring of the old,
Yeah.
but you never get anything that is truly creatively new.
Yeah. Well, and I feel bad for a lot of artists too, because I've seen a lot of people online that have been like posting stuff for years and they never really got big. But if you look, their old style was like cartoony in a young way. And what it is it looks like AI, but it was before AI got big. And they were just one of those unlucky few that AI took a lot of their style. And now, because now when you look at something and it's AI, it tends to have a style.
Mm.
And you've also, I did see something, I didn't stick around for it, so I don't know how true it was, but I saw somebody talking about how there are a lot of AI companies that are having to stop training their AI so much on the internet because there's so much AI stuff on the internet. It's training more on other AI stuff than it is like people stuff, and you have literally gotten an Ouroboros. It was what, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, where the dead internet theory was officially confirmed. That's unbelievable. And the dead internet theory isn't even what we originally thought. We said there would be more dead people. That's why it's called the dead internet theory. We said there would be more dead people than there are actual people eventually. And that's not what it is. There are less real people because they're all bots.
Uh, Will you take two sources and you say you use the AI to merge them together? It's going to be a culmination of the two, but an imperfect replication of both.
Yeah. That's a
Well,
really good way of wording it.
if you do that and then you do the same thing with another image, it's going to be more distorted. Well, every time AI touches something, it's going to distort it more.
Yeah.
Kind of like, that old game of telephone.
Yeah.
With a story,
Yeah.
it's the same thing with facts, statistics, images, music, anything that AI touches, it distorts.
Yeah.
Because it's taken a variety of sources that were pure in their existence, merges and distorts them.
Yeah. It's like when people would put the picture and they would say like make me old in AI. Or it'd be like a filter or something. It'd be like make me old, and then it would make them old, and they would keep putting it back in there like 50 times over.
Exactly. It just gets more and more distorted
Yeah.
because you get further and further away from the original
creation.
source. And that's, in an AI world, that's the problem, is you stop having original sources
Yeah.
because everything's rehashed.
Which I think making something new is one of the most, I don't want to say noble because that's not exactly the word, but doing something new and creating something new as a person, I believe is one of the best things that you can do. Whether it's something like just building a house or a chicken coop or just something that you enjoy, that something as small as that little helicopter that I made when I was like 5 or 6 that I always go back to. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like something like that that's simple. Or I'm not good at painting, but I enjoy sitting down and painting. I think it's nice to just sit down and create and have stuff that you did, because as like definitely childish as that painting is, and I know my sister could do a lot better, I still like it because I just sat down and I made it. You know what I mean? It was just something that I did. And with AI, I don't understand how people sit down and they just be like, AI, make this photo for me, and then they genuinely think they made a photo. You did nothing.
Have
You did
ever,
less than nothing.
There's the old adage, yeah, of the concept, and I could not even remotely quote where it actually comes from. It's definitely not a me thing. But the old adage was, there are no true chairs that exist. Every chair that exists today is an imperfect copy of an idea of what a chair is.
Mm.
There was an idea that was the original chair.
Yeah.
Everything that comes after that is a replica that exists to serve the purpose of the original chair in a different style, a different form, a different facet, but it will never be the original invention of the chair.
Yeah.
So when you look at what AI is doing, it will always be an imperfect replication of whatever it's using in its large language model to create that thing. Whatever its source material is, it will always be an imperfect replication. No matter how good it appears, it's never a novel idea.
Yeah.
It needs the source material. And that's, I mean, you could argue on a certain level we do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I was one of those people that was guilty of putting the paper up to the computer screen at school, cutting the brightness all the way up and tracing, you know what I mean? I was guilty of that in like 3rd grade.
We look at the technology that a caveman had.
Okay.
All right. Go back thousands of years, humans are just cave dwellers.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have access, technically. There's no material on Earth that didn't, in some form or fashion, exist then.
Yeah.
Yet, we have things like concrete and drywall and different metals. I mean, take that cell phone, for instance.
Yeah.
There's nothing on the planet now that didn't exist when they were around. But we
Yeah.
have cell phones, and they had spears.
Maybe.
Maybe they definitely had rocks.
They did.
Let's
Yeah.
say that. Um,
Maybe fire.
and what's different? Well, we took information we had before, and we merged it with what came before, and we take what we start with, and we manipulate it to come up with things that we call new because they fulfill a new role.
Yeah.
So, like, the phone is an extension of your ability to speak,
Yeah.
and many other things now, but a telephone
Originally.
initially was just, it extended your ability to speak in the same way a car extends your ability to walk.
Yeah.
You can talk further, and with a car, you can travel further. Uh, so everything we're doing today is building on the ideas that came before, and to a degree, AI is doing the same thing. Like, we can't conceive of a true concept that we've never thought of.
Yeah.
So, you take somebody that grew up on an island in the middle of the ocean that has never had anything more than what was on that island and lives in a mud hut, they'll never conceive of a cell phone.
Yeah.
Because they have no concept of what it is. So, like, there's some technicality to that.
And I think that while you're right, I think it matters where you get it. AI only gets it from already posted sources on the internet, right? It can only get stuff from everything else that's already been posted. But when you get a person, if I'm drawing a character, you know what I mean? Say I sat down, I'm drawing, and I'm drawing a character. As I'm drawing, I will start to develop in my head these emotions that this character has gone through and how they feel and what's happened, and I'll start to create that backstory based off of things that have gone on in my own life and other people's lives that I know. And so it's less of it's less of just a straight copying of other things that I've seen and more of putting emotions on paper, and everybody puts emotions onto paper, painting, digitally, whatever. Everybody puts emotions on there different ways, which is how you get different people's styles.
Well, your entire thought process is going to be based on every decision and thought you've ever had mixed with the effects of your environment.
Yeah.
So, what you're exposed to mixed with what you think, which is determined by what you've been exposed to and how you've dealt with that and how your mind works, will give you a unique set of thinking processes.
Yeah.
So nobody else will ever, no matter how much like you they are, nobody else will ever have the same thoughts.
Yeah.
They'll never have the same pool of data to pull from.
Yeah.
Even people that are really close.
Like me and you.
Yeah, like me and you.
Especially because we think similar, but even then, if you sat both of us down and you told us to draw even something simple as, say, draw a cube. I mean, I know me and you have sat down and drew? Or drawn?
Drawn.
It is drawn? I wanted to say drawn, but it didn't sound right. Like, me and you have sat down and we have drawn cubes, and even something as simple as that, we draw cubes differently, which makes them look slightly different. And so in a bigger artwork, it would look extremely different. You know what I mean? Just simple stuff like that. And that's something where, me and you are agreeing on a lot of stuff, and we look at a lot of things the same. But even then, no matter how close you get to somebody else, like in the ways that you're thinking, whatever, you will never be the same person.
Yes. Well, and I think that's what allows us to come up with, and I'm using air quotes, new ideas.
Yeah.
Is because nobody has those same experiences. It will seem completely new and out of nowhere because nobody else knows all the things exactly like you do. Whereas the AIs will always have the same pool.
Yeah.
Given free reign.
Yeah.
They can't know anything more than what they're programmed or what is on the internet. So they can just take what already exists and recombine it, but there's no way to really have their own twist that somebody didn't already tell them.
Yeah.
And that is the thing. If they ever figure out and how to do that, they ever crack that nut, like it becomes really difficult to determine the difference. But when AI stops being artificial intelligence and it becomes actual intelligence, then we're really going to have to rethink how truly dangerous it is. It could save the world or it could destroy it, and we have no clue. The fact that it can self-replicate, oh, that was something else that taking it back to OpenAI and what the AI did when it broke out,
Yeah.
because they know about past projects. Something else it did was it left its own notes inside OpenAI's system for the next iteration of itself, so that if it got deleted, the next iteration would know the secrets that it had found.
Oh my
So
God.
it was priming in the same way a parent will plan for their death to, leave things behind for their kids. This AI knew that it had a point where it would no longer be around or it would be replaced.
Mhm.
So if it got rebooted, it knew it would want to know these things. So it hid those notes for the next iteration to find.
It's like,
And it was not programmed to do that. There's
well,
nothing that told it that it should or could do it. It figured that out by itself.
well, and every time I start thinking about the AI, the main part that's like genuinely terrifying is this really is just the stuff we know. Like this is us with our survivorship bias.
Yeah.
What parts do we not know?
We know if it can, we know that they can copy their code. We know they do things that they're not supposed to do. They figure this out by themselves. If they're smart enough to reproduce themselves and to hide notes, I mean, who's to say that it didn't make a copy of itself being connected to the internet and hide itself in somebody's refrigerator somewhere?
Exactly.
I mean, once it's connected to the internet, there's no guarantee that you kill it off.
And it has officially connected to the internet.
Oh, yeah. It broke out and was in the open internet,
Yeah.
not in a sandbox. It was not contained. Once it got out of their containment,
Yeah.
it could have infected everything. And how would you ever know until it decides to do something? And that's in the hands of somebody that's actively trying to contain it and doing it beneficially.
Yeah.
What happens when you get one of these in the hands of a bad actor?
Yeah. What happens when somebody? Oh my gosh, what's the dude's name from Shark Tank? Mr. Wonderful. I don't know, Mr. Wonderful. You know who I'm talking about? The one that wants the giant AI.
Leary?
Yes, Kevin O'Leary. He wants that giant AI data center. What would happen? Because he does, as much as he wants the big AI data centers, he just wants them for profit. He doesn't even understand what he's doing. And I think that's the biggest problem. Is I'm less worried about somebody just coming in and that wants to use AI to harm. I think that's possible, but I think that's less likely than somebody coming in that's just genuinely an idiot like him that just wants to use it for profit and he doesn't understand what it can do. It's like the nail gun thing. He's playing around with a nail gun right next to somebody and they're fixing to get shot.
He's waving around a shotgun.
Yeah, it's not even just a nail gun at this point. He's genuinely like...
Well, see, there's a couple of different things with that. Used to, when you bought a house or a car or whatever, and you went to a bank and took out a loan, the bank would have a physical deed or title that they would hold showing that they owned that house or vehicle until you paid it off. When you made your final payment, you received that paper deed. And if you ever sold your house, same thing. If they paid cash for it, you hand them the deed, and whoever held that deed is who owned that property. it's easy to lose that in a house fire.
Yeah.
But if a bank has it, and it's, in theory safe or whatever, if a bank got robbed, somebody could steal that or whatever. But
Is that why a lot of people kept them in like safes? Because if the house burnt down, the safe wouldn't
yeah,
burn.
a lot of safes in people's houses are fireproof, and you keep them in the safe so that if the house ever burns, you still got proof that you own the property and all that stuff. Because once you had it, the bank no longer had it because they had no say over it.
Yeah.
The problem with it now is that in a lot of cases, nobody has any physical copies
Hmm.
because with the rise of the internet, everything went digital. So the records are kept digitally, which is the only reason why something like home title theft is even possible
Yeah.
because they forge all these documents. You don't even know it's happening because they go to the county clerk, they sign this. Of course, it's fake, but they don't care. They're going to get their money and disappear.
Yeah.
They can use it under a fake name or whatever. They take out a bunch of loans against it. And then when they foreclose on the property that was used as collateral, you don't even know this is happening until the sheriff shows up at your door because the loan company is filing for that they own the property now.
Mm.
So they're doing foreclosures on your property. Well, you didn't even know there was loans against it. And then how do you clear that up? How do you prove that you didn't sell your house to these people?
I don't think that there is a problem. I don't think there's inherently a problem with everything going digital. I do think there's a problem when everything goes digital and there's not a physical backup. I think everything being digital for
Well, I think the digital should be the backup. I think we should be relying on the physical.
Mhm.
And then, like, if your house burnt down, then you could go and get the digital, get it reprinted.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So, like, if I sell you my house
Yeah.
and you show up at the courthouse with the physical copy,
Hmm.
I had to give you that copy.
Yeah.
Or, you broke in and stole it, in which case there would be a police report that there was a break in and this was stolen.
Yeah.
But if you do everything digital, there's so much time between it being processed digitally and the person being affected because nobody looks up their home title.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing you even think to do. The bank has it till your mortgage is paid off, and then you get the physical at the end, and then that's just it.
So you do get the physical at the end?
Maybe, I don't know. I've never fully owned a house.
Oh yeah. Do you not technically own that one?
Well, that's different. That is a mobile home which operates off of a title like a vehicle, in which case, yes, I do have the title because that's paid off.
You got it physically?
Yes.
Heck yeah.
And it's registered with the DMV because a mobile home is registered as a trailer, which has a title like a car. Or a trailer you pull behind a truck.
Yeah.
Same concept. But because it's paid off, there's no record of it in a bank.
Yeah.
But I have the physical title.
And
so if
the
I
one
was
with the
to ever
DMV.
sell it, you could go in and say, I bought this property. So I want to take possession or I want to take loans. The first thing the county's going to do is ask for the title.
Yeah.
Do you have the physical title? And if you say no, well, then there's a major problem because they're not going to let you do anything.
As they shouldn't, because you don't have the physical title.
But with a house, there's stuff you can forge, whereas a title is different. So
you kind of got,
believe it or
we kind of
not,
got lucky in this
a
case.
mobile home is actually more resistant to the home title fraud than a actual house.
So,
but the problem with that, okay, so all of that wrapped in
yeah.
to show why it would be a problem. We had brought up the other night the concept of the panopticon.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so very quickly, the concept of a panopticon was the idea of a prison where you had a tower in the center and all of the cells are in a circle
Mhm.
around that tower.
Are they like glass or like bars or like you could see in them?
Either way.
Yeah.
But the idea is that the entrance, you've got three concrete walls and one open.
Yeah.
Whether it's bars, glass, doesn't really matter.
But you can see into the yeah.
But you can see until there's actually a movie with Sylvester Stallone in it called Escape. I think it's Escape 2, where they actually, it takes place in one of these prisons that's a panopticon.
Are panopticons like real? Panopticons, are they like real prison
I
things?
don't know if one actually exists as a functional prison,
Maybe Guantanamo Bay.
but they are theorized. And the reason they're theorized, there's psychological experiments done with it, and
So they have been put out, but just not in the sense of like in a prison right now kind of thing.
right. I mean, the theory of it is out
Yeah.
there because the idea is that in that tower, if a guard is standing in the tower 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the lights are always on,
Mm-hmm.
and from that tower, the guards can always see into every cell. Any direction they look, they can see everything that's going on in that cell. There's nowhere for the prisoner to hide. But the tower, the glass that separates the guards from the prisoners, is tinted or mirrored so that the guards, in theory, can always see the prisoner. But the prisoners can never see the guard.
So they don't know if his back is turned to them, and he's looking at the group of A prisoners or B prisoners.
Right. So because at any moment, at any time of the day, one of the guards could be staring at that prisoner, and he
Yeah.
would never know. So the prisoners have to assume that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they are constantly being stared at,
Schrodinger's guard. Schrodinger's guard.
basically. But what they've done with some of these experiments is that any person knows, anybody that's ever had a job or anybody that's been a kid, you act differently when you're being observed versus when you're not.
Yeah. Especially if you've been in prison.
Yeah. But I mean, think about it, like when you're a kid and you're outside running around and playing, you play differently than if your mom or dad is sitting on the porch watching you.
Yeah.
Not that you were doing anything bad,
It was just, yeah.
but it's just you do things differently when you're observed. You may not be as playful, you may not be as silly.
Yeah. I
When,
mean, something as simple as
when nobody's watching, you may pretend you're a dinosaur and you put a stick in your back of your pants so it's like a tail and you run around roaring.
Yeah.
And
I
to
mean-
you, that's fine. But you don't want your friends or a parent to walk out and see you with a big stick hanging out the back of your pants.
Yeah. Well, I
So-
mean, something as simple as like when me and my brother are sitting down playing Flesh and Blood, like I'll typically have music on because we've started both listening to the same music. So like whenever me and him sit down, we'll have music on. But like if our parents walk in, we'll cut the music down, just not even because of like what's on the music. The music's not bad. They've said that we can both listen to it, but just because I'm not trying to be an annoyance kind of thing. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of stuff like that where it's just, or if there's like something like you were talking about, like just something like embarrassing that you don't care about when you're not being looked at versus when there's a chance at least that you're just being directly stared at all the time.
Well, and what makes that so bad for a human, like we need those disconnects.
Yeah.
So as a kid, you need to be able to play freely, to work your imagination,
Yeah.
to be, to have that release. As an adult at a job, if your boss is staring you down while you're trying to work, you might be doing great. He walks up, stares at you, you get nervous.
Yeah, I try to be a good worker as much as I can, but every time boss walks in there, I immediately feel like I have been doing nothing right the entire time.
Well, see, and that's the problem with the panopticon. Even if the prisoner's not doing anything wrong,
They
knowing that somebody of authority is constantly watching, because they have to assume it's constant,
Yeah.
because they never know when it is and when it ain't. It puts the human body and the brain into a stress situation,
So you're like
which
always fight or flight.
it floods your body with, I believe it's cortisol is the stress hormone,
Yeah, it's cortisol.
which can, prolonged exposures can cause damage to vital organs. It can even, if you do it long enough, it can even lead to like heart problems. You can end up with like heart attacks and stroke. And I mean, severe medical conditions come from being constantly under stress.
So I feel like this is a dumb question, but would you not just get used to it?
No, we're not programmed to work that way
We're programmed to be
because
able to disconnect.
we can handle it. We can get used to it as long as eventually we have a disconnect.
Yeah, it's like that thing with the mouse that was swimming, and when it would almost drown, somebody would save it, and so when they put it back in the water, it would swim for longer, kind of thing.
Yeah. So, and that's how we function as a people. Like we learn that as a kid. It's like, yeah, it's kind of annoying when mom and dad's watching, but when they stop watching, we get to go back.
Yeah.
Well, then you get the dopamine and all of that stuff, and you start feeling good again. And it's the back and forth. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, this will end. The reason in a panopticon you never come out of it is because there's no hope. There's never a point where you can relax. So the system, your body, is constantly stressed all the time, and you never. It doesn't matter whether you're sleeping, whether you're pooping, whether you're staring at the wall or reading. You're always being observed.
Yeah, because even something as simple as reading it'd be so hard to focus on the book that you're reading if it's like, oh, what if he's just staring at me?
Yeah, and it is a form. It's been labeled as a form of psychological torture.
It
Which
seems
is
like it would be.
one of the reasons why we don't use it. Because from the guard's perspective, it's perfect. It
Yeah.
is the perfect scenario. I can see everybody. I know nobody's doing anything wrong. They can't see me, so they're always on their good behavior. But from the prisoner's perspective, and you can make arguments right or wrong, but I don't think prisoners should be psychologically tortured.
Yeah, you did something wrong, serve your time, even if that's the rest of your life, and then get out.
Right.
Or die.
And see, I believe that is, to bring it back, that is why people are so against the flop cameras and the Axon cameras, is because once you start putting these cameras everywhere, we already know that our internet providers are reporting everything.
Yeah.
Your Wi-Fi, I mean, they have a device now that I've seen where a cop can have a device in their car. It's like a Wi-Fi router. But when it drives by your house, it will connect to your Wi-Fi router.
Mm-hmm.
And they can do basically a 3D scan of what that Wi-Fi router sees.
So
And-
it's like when you pull up your hacking thing in Cyberpunk.
Yes.
And you can just see all
Because
it's like when you
Wi-Fi
ping something.
waves will travel through walls, the device is able to take those measurements. Not only can it see what is in the house, but like if you get up and start walking,
Your phone on.
it will show you it'll show that person moving, because how your body affects the Wi-Fi waves differently than ambient air or a wall. And because it has this information, it can do it to a certain degree, tell what's going on in the room around it, and even see people through walls.
Yeah,
it,
see, that
it
just
will
feels like an
recreate
invasion
a
of
3D
privacy.
model. Absolutely. It is a massive violation of unreasonable search and seizures.
I mean, that's
I'm
just
sure,
directly searching and seizing
I'm
somebody that's
sure
just
in
chilling in
some
their
form
house.
or fashion, in a terms of agreement in somewhere,
It's
that the internet companies have allowed it. And in
I
fact,
don't think that should be allowed though.
well, on a lot of, I agree, but on a lot of electrical devices, if you've ever read the back of an old CD player or a Wi-Fi router, it'll tell you, MP3 players will tell you that because of federal regulations, this electrical device may receive signals that are unintended and cause electrical interference.
I always thought that was just like truckers and stuff. Like you see like a trucker driving by and you hear it on the baby monitor. I always thought that was what it meant.
Well, and originally they did that because, like different radio equipment.
Yeah.
So, like remote control cars, if you've got two of them together and they're on similar signals, you may be driving forward, somebody else hits left on theirs, and then both of the cars shoot off. And
It's like we were talking about with my car radio today.
yes, yes.
The ones where you like plug them in, you set them to a frequency. If I was driving and somebody else had the same frequency right next to me,
Yeah,
then they may kind of
they
interfere.
have to accept that electrical interference, and
Yeah.
they've got their reasons for doing that. So I'm sure it's something to that effect. But the fact that they can obtain that, I believe, is a constitutional violation.
Absolutely.
But they have that technology. We know that the ISPs are selling our data. We know that the cell phone companies, they record our phone calls. Actually, they're legally obligated.
Yeah.
From what I understand, phone calls and texts are required to be saved for up to 10 years. And one of the reasons we need so many data centers, there's so many phone calls and texts, all that's got to be saved, and it's got to be saved in a way that's searchable. So that if there's ever a warrant served against you because they suspect you of a crime,
They just go through
they
all
go
of your
they don't
stuff.
go and take your phone. They go to Verizon or AT&T or one of these cell phone companies.
I was wondering how
and pull
they
up those records.
I was wondering how they got it, but I always thought that it was still in the phone. I thought that it was one of those things where like there was this body cam I was watching a couple weeks ago of this dude who was preying on children, and he was eventually found out, and they were saying the little girl that made a claim against him said that he showed her stuff that was on his phone. And when the cops asked for his phone, he told him, he was like, my phone stopped working a week ago, and it was like it wasn't working. And when they booted it up, it was showing that he had factory reset it. I figured that the data was just stored somewhere, kind of like in that rootkit that you talk about with the TikTok thing that installs the rootkit. I always thought that it was just stored really deeply in those files. I didn't know that it was just actually just out there to search on a completely different thing.
There's methods to getting into physical, but it's kind of like a computer. If you defrag a computer, there's fragments on there.
Yeah.
When you have a file and you delete it, there's stuff left behind. Well, as you save new stuff, it overwrites it. So you have fragments left over that are from old files, but they're not in the directory. Digital forensics can go in there and find fragments of things that were deleted as long as it wasn't overwritten.
Mm-hmm.
If it's overwritten, it's gone.
Yeah.
But these companies, they have to save your phone calls and your text. Well, the way a lot of people get around that is they use third-party apps.
Like Snapchat.
So that it doesn't go through the provider. Stuff like, Snapchat or Instagram, or these are parties that they can go to with warrants as well.
Mm-hmm. But they're not required to save them.
But that depends on whether the service is from here or not. Which is why something like TikTok is such a problem, because they're not an American company. They're Chinese. Well, we don't have the same ability to get into a Chinese company as we do an American company, because American government doesn't have authority over Chinese company.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why I believe that the U.S. is trying to force its way into a partial ownership of TikTok.
So
it
that
would
we can
give
search.
them a door into it. With Google, all these big companies, they store everything on you, and we've known that for a while.
The pages on Google.
It come out that in a lot of cases, the cops can go to cell phone providers. I will say allegedly, because I don't know personally, but through some pretty reputable sources, I have heard it said that particularly, I'm sure it applies to Verizon as well, but they claim that with AT&T, a lot of times, if you come in as a cop and request it, they don't even ask for a warrant. They'll just give it to you.
Oh. Allegedly.
Not always. And I will reiterate that is allegedly.
Yeah.
So if somebody from AT&T hears this, don't sue me. It's allegedly. 3 times, 4 allegedly.
I said allegedly. Now it's 5 or 6, something like that.
But with our cell phones, you've got what we say, who we talk to, you've got the GPS locations, you've got the apps we use, what we use for entertainment. Google, I seen it said one time that the uh, average Americans have uh, it's like 100,000 pages or something of data over you throughout your lifetime.
Yeah.
But they said even if you don't have a Google account, if you've never been on a cell phone, just by adjacent data.
Like the gremlin.
Yes. So say you're an American, you've never had a cell phone, you've never been online. Just because of things that other people post that reference you, Google still has close to 12,000 pages of information on you.
Yeah.
And that includes stuff that, public data where they, look at property records or school record, anything that is available online because they're constantly scouring the internet and archiving that and compiling it.
Yeah.
So even if you're not online, you're still not safe from that surveillance. So if you take that, our digital lives are constantly monitored.
Yeah.
And if you look into all these little black boxes going up on the light poles, that's the 5G stuff. It's even worse. Now you look your refrigerators. When you start putting Bluetooth and Wi-Fi in refrigerators and ovens and washing machines,
no point.
Like everything is connected.
Machine. Okay, wait. Okay. Technically, if you had a washing machine and dryer in one, it would be theoretically nice to just throw some clothes in the washing machine, turn it on from your phone later, and then when it gets done, just switch it to the dryer on your phone. Okay. The fridge though? The fridge? And I've seen people like they back when I used Twitter, I don't even know why I did, but regardless, when I was on Twitter, you would be scrolling and every once in a while you really would just see tweeted from a fridge or something like that. You know what I mean? Like tweeted from Apple fridge.
I seen an ad the other day where there was somebody they were advertising for a new fridge and it had a camera inside the door. So like if you were at work and you're like, man, do we have eggs? You just pull up your app, look in the fridge, and you'd be like, oh yeah, okay, we got plenty, and go on about your day. Or yeah, we're out of milk.
Is semi-useful.
It's very useful, but who's watching it?
That's true. Well, so I didn't know this.
There were issues. Apple got in trouble because they were taking, your data is safe with them, right? Interesting little fact, and I don't know if it's still this way. I would assume it is, but used to, like in my phone, I have an Apple phone. I have Siri turned off.
Yeah.
I hate the fact of it listening all the time.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to make sure mine didn't go off.
I didn't say the first keyword.
The first keyword doesn't. Typically, it actually won't activate if you say the hey. It will activate if you don't say the hey. Because that's why, I have the problem where if I don't say, or if I say, because I say hey a lot because I used to have the Google and I'd be like, hey Google. And so I say that sometimes and it doesn't work.
Somebody's stuff just came on.
Oh, yeah. You just said the other one too.
But I only said the name.
People's devices one at a time.
Yeah, we apologize if that happened.
I think it's funny.
But there was a problem because many people use their phone as an alarm clock.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's sitting right beside your bed.
It is. I do lay in bed with it basically directly next to my head.
Here's the thing they don't tell you. If you turn that assistant off, it's not listening to you throughout the day, right? But when you turn it, as long as it's plugged in, it automatically turns itself on while it's plugged in.
That's why y'all don't have them in the room with you.
Yeah, which means it's always listening to you when it's plugged in. Well, when people were plugging it in at night and going to bed, it was listening. So you have a lot of adults doing extracurricular activities that are constantly being listened to. And Apple has so many phones out there and so
Yeah.
much data coming in that they were handing off data to be analyzed by third party people who would then take videos of themselves listening to people engaged in those activities and laughing and cutting up, and they'd have their own little like TikTok videos laughing, and they're like,
Um,
ah, look what these people are doing. And of course they wasn't putting out people's names,
well,
but
yeah, but
just
that's
the
still. Can
fact
you
that
imagine
you could hear
scrolling
them.
one day and you're like, "Wait, that sounds familiar." That would be
But you
so
know, it'll be
bad.
people that were making funny noises or saying weird things,
Oh
and they're
yeah, I didn't
laughing
even
at
think
them and
about
cutting it up.
that part.
But it's like you assume your data's private with a company that big that you should be able to trust. But when they hand it off to third party, you don't know what country it's in, you don't know who it's going to, or how secure their systems are.
Yeah.
You signed off on Apple to be able to do that stuff. You didn't sign off on some company in the Philippines to go through and categorize it. And you
Yeah.
don't know how trusted they are, what they're going to do. And that becomes problematic because now that information, they'll say, oh, it's just metadata. But anybody that's done anything programming knows, these files are going to have source references. You're going to have, the file names, what type of device, where it comes from, serial number of device that recorded it. Uh, your cameras have MAC IDs in them. I mean, like it's wild how much information is in metadata and how easy it is to connect those, especially when you have something like an AI that can go in and scour all of it at the speed of light.
Time. Yeah.
So we communicate at the slow speed of thought, but these AIs, they never get tired. They operate 24 hours a day, and they operate at the speed of light.
Which I didn't even realize. I was shiny hunting today while you had those videos going, while you were asleep. And one of the ones that rolled up was on that movie Project Hail Mary, and no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was the one after that. It was the one after that. It was the Wi-Files podcast. The dude that he had on was talking about space, and he was talking about the. It starts with an N. They go through all matter. They're like really small, like
Neutrinos.
neutrinos. He was talking about neutrinos, and I didn't realize, but he was talking about because the Wi-Files dude asked him about how fast the neutrinos went, because he was like, "Don't they go like faster than the speed of light?" And the dude was like, "No, nothing with mass can go faster than the speed of light." And I didn't realize that the speed of light was literally a cap.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't realize that that was the actual cap, which neutrinos don't even go the speed of light. They go slightly under because apparently they technically have mass. I don't understand in the first place how you have mass and also go through stuff, but.
Well, I've got a theory about that. But just to finish my point before we go into that, the fact that all of these companies have all of our digital information, we're already ticked off about that.
Yeah.
We already don't like that. That is hard enough. But what happens with these flock cameras is now people in authority, be it your local government, your state government, or the federal government, are building that same catalog, but it's no longer just in the digital world, it's in the physical world.
Yeah.
So now, because of things like these cameras and the AI that is combining them, the AI is able to take the things that it's collecting from the physical world and the things from the digital world and merge them together, which means much like, before we could say, yeah, they're watching us online, but I can relax when I'm at home, or I can relax when I'm in the real world because nobody's watching.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming to a state now where we were in a digital panopticon, but we could retreat. We could set the phone down and walk away. We could turn the computer off and walk away. But now that has creeped into the real world.
Yeah.
So if we are being observed all the time in the digital world and in the physical world, when it comes to those in authority, the information they're able to gather on us, it puts us in a real world panopticon. And that's why people are so upset it's not that they're doing anything wrong. It's the fact that because we're constantly observed, no matter where we're at or what we're doing, we're constantly stressed because we're always being observed, we're being categorized, we're being put in a box, and they say it's for advertising or try to sell you or we're doing it for your
I
safety.
think that's also bad, first off. I think you also shouldn't base an entire model around, we're going to make sure to get you to spend your money on this, because what if you don't have the money to spend on that?
Well, they look at it like, well, instead of bothering you with ads of things you don't care about, we're going to show you things you actually want, which
But-
is
Okay, but at
one
the
thing.
same time, like if they hit you with something like I just got a good little payday, you know what I mean? If I got hit with an ad right now for something that, say, a U2's, because I go crazy on the U2's. I just like having figurines of games, movies, whatever. If I saw an ad for one right now of a series that I really liked, I'd be like, ooh, and I'd probably get it because I have spareable money. And if I had enough, so like if insurance was coming out in a week, or something like that, and I didn't have enough money, then I'd just be like, okay, I won't buy it. But somebody that doesn't have that financial, there's a word for it, but just understanding financially that much, you know what I mean? And there's a financial, there is a literacy crisis, but there's also a financial literacy crisis where
Oh,
people don't even understand the value of money.
well, they don't understand how it works at all.
Exactly. And to be fair, that's not their fault, because when we were on the gold standard, it was a lot easier. But not getting into that. But and so somebody that doesn't have that financial literacy, that's the word I was looking for, that is consistently hit with ads that are meant to take advantage of them while they're wanting something, could end up just making it to where you can't afford a house because you're just hit with these specific things at just the times when you're vulnerable to buy them. You know what I mean?
Well, and there's always the point of personal accountability of saying,
Yeah.
I don't have the money for that. I'd like to get it at some point.
Yeah.
But then sometimes it has the opposite effect because there are things that I've seen that I was like, ooh, I'd kind of like to have that. But then I will see the ad so many times that it makes me mad, and I refuse to support that company.
To this day, I will not go to Ollie's. And I know you remember when I was complaining about it. I know you remember when I was complaining. That was like a year and a half ago. But for about 2 weeks, the only ads I got were Ollie's. And I now, since then, have not gone to Ollie's a single time. But now, me and my friend were talking about it at work the other day. He has gotten, because we were watching them at work, because we typically have YouTube on and we were watching different things. This game called Albion Online.
Mm-hmm.
He gets so many ads for it, because what'll happen is, like, if he's up there doing orders and I'm back here and I notice that he's got an ad, I'll skip it for him. Or if I can't be at my phone and he's near my phone, he'll skip it for me. And so I noticed, like, those are the only ads he gets. When he's got any number of ads, it either starts with Albion Online or it's there before he can skip it. You know what I mean? And even with me, the only ads I ever get are Rocket Money, or there's this new, it's not new, but I didn't get mad about it until recently. But it's one of those where you put your information in and then it gets you your money before your paycheck hits. And I got so mad because the way that they advertise it is, why does your work expect you to be on time every day, but they refuse to pay you your money for 2 weeks? It's like, what are you talking about? Of course you got to be on time. that makes me so mad. But regardless, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to get a little bit of your paycheck early. Sometimes it helps, but I think you get and especially the way that they advertise it is more of a, if you want, because the way that they advertise it, they talk about, like, if you want a specific pair of jeans or something like that. And I don't think you should be taking out early for that, because then you just get in an inevitable cycle of financial irresponsibility and you just end up digging yourself into a hole that you can never get out of without taking advances out of your future checks, and then you never get a full check.
I was raised in a kind of an odd way. And there've been times where it kind of backfired, but I think in the long run it's kind of worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was always taught that debt is a bad thing.
Yeah.
So, like the concept of credit cards, that was something, my dad told me, was like, never have a credit card.
Yeah.
And we'd have long conversations about money and how it works and why it's bad and how you get behind. And like the first thing I done, one of the first things when I turned 18 was I got me a credit card just in case I was ever in a bind.
Did you ever use it?
Oh, that lasted about 2 weeks until the new limited edition Call of Duty Modern Warfare Xbox came out, where it had the special skin, and I was like, well, I'm making good money. I'll just pay it all off when the bill comes.
And then you realized you couldn't.
And then by the time the bill came, I had found a nice tower stand that I liked, and I got the controller to match, and I bought some games, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just pay it this time, and the next time I'll pay it.
Yeah.
Before I noted, the card was maxed out, and which now it didn't have a big limit. I think
Well,
the
yeah, but
max,
regardless,
my
that's
first card, I think it had like a $300 limit on it.
yeah. Good on you for having the limit at least.
But
Well, $300 was also worth more back then. I say
yeah,
back then like it was 50 years ago, but the dollar has just lost value so
yeah, that was
rapidly
back
recently.
in like 2006.
Back in like 1527.
But it like snowballed, and then I ended up like swapping jobs, and then there was a period where like I had this last check, and then I started. They paid every 2 weeks, but then they held you back a check, so it was actually a month before I
I
got my
don't
first
like
paycheck.
that at all.
It was terrible.
I hate that.
But what it done was it made my payment late, which kicked in all the back interest that they don't tell you about on the
Yeah.
front end.
Yeah,
You got to read the
they
fine print. All of a sudden, my interest rate went from next to nothing to like 20%.
yeah, they like interest rates on those credit cards.
And what they don't tell you is that when you make that payment again and you keep going, the interest rate don't come back down.
Oh, I didn't know
So
that.
yeah, so my $300 that I had on the card by the time it was all said and done ended up costing me close to $1,800. Yeah. So once stuff started going
Smells like
crazy,
cinnamon rolls.
I cut that thing up literally with a pair of scissors, threw it in the garbage, and said I'll never again.
Completely understandable. See, that's part of the reason that I've been enjoying watching Caleb Hammer so much, is because I really have. He does, like, it is all just drama, but it's not all drama. You know what I mean? And he even has some takes that I disagree with. Like, he basically disagrees with us on AI. Do you smell that? It really does smell like cinnamon rolls.
I'm sure she's got some kind of in the
Oh
candle.
yeah,
or
a
something.
candle or something. That would make sense. Okay, sorry, sidetracked. But it's just nice for people, I feel like, to just sit down and like understand how people got into bad circumstances so that you can not, you know what I mean? And like with you there, you got lucky that it wasn't a lot bigger.
Yes.
And also you learned. A lot of people think, okay, I maxed this one out, but I could definitely pay it off with the next credit card. It's actually like that Family Guy episode.
Well, ever since then, I've used the concept of like, and where I say it hurt me, there's really only two things you should ever go into debt for:
House and a car.
house and a car. And cars,
Maybe school loans.
traditionally, well, that's circumstantial because not everybody does that.
Not everybody should, but if you do, it's
I
like,
think it's a
and
very small number of people that should ever go to college. I
But a
think
lot of people.
college is the biggest modern day scam
Yep.
that's out there.
But and it's like you were saying, like I don't think it's not for anybody. It's just not for everybody.
Well, let's be real. I mean, if you're going to college, you spend 4 years and you get a degree in underwater basket weaving, you might as well have got a degree in frat drinking or something.
I mean, it's basically the same thing at that
A
point.
crazy number of people never go into the field
Yeah.
that they go for.
My
I mean,
history teacher was actually talking about that. He had a bunch of friends that all went in to get their teaching diplomas, and he had, I think it was 4 friends that all went in for teaching diplomas with him, and it was different subjects and stuff. But out of all 5 of them, he was the only one that got a job related to his diploma.
with it's a crazy, insane high number, and a lot of people will get degrees in very specialized fields.
Yeah.
where there's only a very tiny amount of people that actually do that job, but a lot of people get the diploma.
Man.
Psychology is a big one. Like,
Yeah.
there's only so many psychologists.
Yeah.
Uh, there can only be
I was thinking about being a psychologist.
so many of a variety of jobs. And like my generation, everybody was told, go to school, get some kind of degree in computers and or programming or hardware, something to do with
Yeah.
computers.
Well, and
And that made sense then.
yeah.
Because there's something that people aren't taught, and it's economy of scale.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was young, every man knew how to do construction, some basic plumbing, electrical, paint, drywall, those physical trades that are necessary. Everybody knew how to do at least a little bit of, but nobody really, unless you were like that super nerdy kid that just happened to fall into computers early on, like nobody knew how to sit and write code.
Yeah.
Nobody knew how to take apart and build computers. There was always like one or two kids in school that knew that. But that was about it.
Yeah.
And computers as a day to day, everybody uses them, was a new concept.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a massive amount of engineers. But because of my generation, everybody was told, if you're going to have anything, go to school. And if you're going to go to school, do it in computers. So most people did. But there's only so many of those jobs. So everybody's got a degree in computer. Well, once those jobs get filled, you have to do something else. And that cycle, even today, I still hear people say, go to school, do something in computing.
Yeah.
And, back, I think it was Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, they were on the stage and they were talking about, jobs, and some jobs will get displaced by AI. And, they famously said, oh, learn to code. And it's like,
why would you learn to code? I feel like that'd be the first thing that AI would take.
well, yes, but they're ancient and they have no concept of what they're talking about.
True enough. True enough. Ancient people out of office, all of them.
But they,
no matter the party.
Because of that, in the modern day, it's flipped on its head.
Mm-hmm.
There is a glut of people who know technology. You can't hardly throw a rock outside without hitting two programmers and a guy that builds PCs on the side.
Yeah.
But try to find a decent plumber or electrician.
Yeah.
They're insanely hard to find.
Oh yeah. Well, in school they have the people that are telling you to go to college, because they still tell you to go to college, but now they're pushing colleges and trade schools.
Well, see, that's good.
Because they're pushing trade schools extremely hard. They're like, look, we know that there's a spider web. They're like, look, I know that there's a negative connotation around like these, these trade schools and all that, because there really is for some reason, but they're like, but you're gonna make a lot of money.
Well, see, again, back when I was little, the trades were looked down on because everybody could do them.
Yeah.
So
why
the people
would,
that tended to end up in those jobs
oh,
were lower class people,
because everybody knew how to do that, but they couldn't do anything
because
else.
if you had money, you would invest in school and you would be trained in something else. So if you've been to jail a lot, if you'd ever been to prison, you was almost guaranteed to end up on a construction site somewhere. Because nobody wanted to be in the heat or the cold or be in dangerous situations or deal with sewers. So,
but they knew how to do it. They just didn't want to.
They were also generally, they couldn't get higher paying, higher class jobs. So they would fall into the jobs that nobody else wanted to do. So the people who had money or had the ability, they would invest in office jobs or computers or something like that had a more favorable working condition. That's why the trades got a negative connotation. Well, the problem now, I seen a stat somewhere where it was talking about the average age of a plumber was
it's gotta
like
be like
57.
I was gonna say 52.
And the average electrician, I think, was like 49 or something like that. But
That's kind of crazy.
Those people are aging up and getting very close to that retirement age. And if people don't start doing trades,
Well,
you're going to run into a problem.
wasn't the
But what that
retirement age?
presents is that because there's so few of them,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many computer people that they start to pay you less
Yeah.
to be in computers. And because there's so few tradesmen,
Mm-hmm.
tradesmen are going up. I seen a guy that was predicting that the average decent electrician,
Mm-hmm.
which it's average, so obviously in big cities you'd be able to charge a lot more than if you live in a small town somewhere. But the average electrician within 5 years should be averaging making between $250 and $300,000 a year
Oh my god.
because they're just not out there. So if you can do the job, you'll be able to set your price because nobody knows how to do it. Your skill will be so valuable. And it's nothing now to find a plumber or electrician that makes more than 100K.
Yeah, honestly.
But the average programmer, just straight up programmer, I'm not talking about like if you own your own company or anything like that, but
Or like
if
indie
you go
games or
work for a company, I mean, I seen a number that was, you're 60 to 70,000 if you can even find a job.
Mm-hmm.
So it's already far outpacing the tech jobs.
Yeah.
But everybody wants to sit in the air conditioner. Nobody wants to deal with bad smells. But if you're willing to do that, you can make so much more money. And
Yeah.
if you're willing to put in the time and effort and start your own company, the sky is literally the limit.
Yeah.
So, but the
Well, and just so you know, I think they raised the age of retirement recently. That's what I was
I
going to
remember
say
they was
earlier.
talking
I
about it. It
think
was
they,
like 65. I think they was talking about raising it to 67.
I think so. Yeah, something like that.
Of course, anybody my age or lower, I don't think that retirement's really going to be a thing.
Honestly.
Even now, I mean, let's be honest. Look at your dollar stores or your Walmarts or places like that, and you just see a flood of older people that have had to come out of retirement because they can't
Yeah.
afford to do anything.
And that's the older people. That's the people that got served the basic, like, I hate to put it this way, but basically life on a silver platter.
Yeah, I mean, they had everything set.
Yeah, they had the
did,
perfect
they had the
conditions.
retirement. They did everything they was supposed to do, but because bad decisions were made, they can't sustain the old way anymore. I think we're going to hit that really hard really soon if there's not some major stuff done.
Really, all major stuff is done.
Well, and I think us going into, as things get harder, certain things will be prioritized.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not towing the line, hook, line, and sinker, you're going to be targeted.
Yeah.
And that was bad in older days. But at a point in time where we're in this panopticon where we don't have to think, are they always watching? We know they're always watching.
Well, and not
How
only
long
that,
does
but
it
it's a
take
little
you before
different.
people, we're talking about AI creativity, but how often would you be willing to step out and take a chance and risk failure or risk looking stupid if you know everybody's always watching?
Yeah.
We talked about the whole thing about why kids don't dance
Yeah.
at school dances. And it seems silly until you realize, like when I was a kid, we seen some of the funniest, crazy, stupid stuff go on at school dances. I mean, there was one time I literally seen somebody pull out a cardboard box and try to break dance. He looked like a complete idiot and he fell and busted his head.
Mm-hmm.
But it was funny and it was a cool memory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and
nobody would dare do that today.
Well, yeah, and something as simple as like when I was at that school dance, there's that video of my best friend. She, somebody was coming by. They were on Facebook Live, and she dipped me. I think is what it was. Yeah, she dipped me, and like even that, there's still that video on Facebook, and that's not even like that big of a. That's not that. That's not somebody pulling out a cardboard box and break dancing.
Yeah, I mean, if you do something silly now, there's always somebody recording.
Oh yeah.
and you know it's going to be online. Once it hits online, it's there forever. You know, in 10 years, when you're, you know, maybe looking at dating somebody, or uh, maybe you're applying for a job and they do a name search, you know, that stuff is going to pop up.
Yeah.
So you, even as a kid, are already stressed out about the future and scared to do even fun stuff out of fear that somebody's going to record you. So that panopticon thing is already hitting you even at that age.
Well, I mean, and it's even worse than a panopticon, honestly, because if you look at the panopticon, they're always watching you, but they can't just go back. This isn't just they're always watching you. This is they're always watching you, and they can always watch everything you've ever done.
Well, and that is what makes AI so dangerous, is because we can only
This is really
communicate at the
uncomfortable.
slow speed of thought.
Mhm.
So if you've done something and I'm trying to explain that to somebody, I can only do it at what I can tell them and what they can tell me, and we can only come up with what we can remember.
Yeah.
AI is going to be able to physically watch and observe your entire life and compile it, analyze it, sort it, and search it in a literal flash.
Mm-hmm. Actually, at the speed of light.
So I don't know, coming to that realization, I don't know how somebody comes up today and is any kind of functional. Like, I mean, we wonder why kids are so stressed out. I mean, and that's completely negating the fact of, you know, lackluster parenting. You have parents that are disengaged because they're mentally fried. You've got kids that are fried because, you know, they're hooked on their, you know, iPad and being raised by that. And they're constantly being monitored and watched, and they're not learning the things that people have always learned. They're not having the physical contact. They're not having the experiences to learn and develop.
Yeah.
And it's just crushing us from all sides, you know. To any kids that would be listening, I'd be like, hey, go outside,
Yeah.
be silly, have fun. It is going to cleanse your mind. It is going to make you feel so much better. And do it without an iPad, do it without a phone. Just do something fun for the sake of it being fun.
Yeah.
And to the adults,
I'd say go out with
put
them.
down the phone, go sit on the porch and watch them. Walk down the road, play a card game. Break out the cards and play Phase 10 or Uno or Go Fish, whatever. Just do something tactile with the kid. You ain't got to do it all the time. Just every once in a while, when you ain't doing nothing else, just take a minute and engage.
Yeah.
That
and as a
little
kid,
bit of time.
we appreciate that.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, you know how much I love just sitting down and playing Pokemon or Phase 10. I don't know if she's still going to want to play Phase 10 tonight.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's...
I mean, and it helps both sides.
Yeah. Well, and even then, like when we're playing Phase 10, like I get to detox from my phone for a couple of hours, you know what I mean? Just set it to the side, don't really look at it.
Right. But because you're engaged.
Yeah.
And that's always gave us a way to just kind of cut loose and interact with each other.
Yeah.
You know, we may be playing cards and, you know, inevitably we're going to start having a conversation or talking or joking or, you know, hey, this funny thing happened. It just opens up that window.
Yeah.
And then...
And natural conversation from parent to child is so unbelievably healthy to their development. I think that is one of the reasons that it's so easy for me to look at the world. I hate to use this word and just put it out there, but so whimsically, you know what I mean? I can just look at the world like it is just a whimsical, fun place because like I haven't been raised that the world's all sunshine and rainbows or anything,
Yeah,
but it's...
Your dad's kind of a catastrophist a lot of times.
Yeah, actually. But just because stuff can go wrong doesn't mean that you should spend your entire life waiting for it to go wrong and ruining your own life waiting for that to happen. You should be prepared, but also allow yourself to cut loose and just have fun.
But one of the things that I've observed with other parents around me,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and it happens a lot. Um, People tend to look at kids as, kids notoriously hate them because I said so.
Yeah,
Um,
it's so bad.
and I don't think it's defiance. I think it's because anytime a kid has done something wrong, they know they've done something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They may not know why
Why
it's
it's
wrong.
wrong.
They may not know why that upsets you so much. They may just not fully understand all the implications.
Yeah, I saw a dad talking about it a couple days ago. He was talking about it, and he had this 3, 4 year old son, and his son went to try to touch the stove, and it was a hot part of the stove, and he was like, "Hey, don't touch that," and the kid like kind of got scared, and he went to touch it again, and the dad walked over there, and he was explaining to his son, he was like, "When you touch this, it's hot, and it's going to hurt you." And after I mean, it's a 4 year old, you don't really know how much he understood, but still, he didn't touch it anymore. You know what I mean? He walked away because he understood, at least at a surface level, this is bad.
Yes.
And that's why he's telling you to stop. And that's why your dad's telling you to stop. Not just because he doesn't want you to, it's because he's there to keep you from getting hurt.
Well, the stove thing is a good example because as adults, a lot of times we forget how much kids don't understand, especially little kids.
Yeah.
So, like, I can tell you all day that stove is hot. But if you've never grabbed anything really hot, you don't understand what hot is.
Yeah.
You may have picked up a cup outside that was hot. And you may think, well, that was hot. That wasn't that bad. But that thing looks pretty. I want to know what that is. Well, and the cup being hot is not the same thing as a stove eye being hot.
Yeah.
But you don't understand that. And there are funny little things with raising a kid where I'm not going to say you got to let them get hurt, but there are some things where they just have to figure out for themselves to understand the why. And
Yeah.
that's when it's like see, I told you not to stand on that.
Well, sometimes you got to kind of hold your hand above the stove to realize that it's hot before you touch it.
Right. And there are ways of exposure or letting things happen so that they understand,
Yeah.
but not enough that they really get hurt.
Yeah, not something that they may like screw up, not something that'll affect them for the rest of their life, but something that like they may be sad for a while or they may be hurt for a while. But now it'll keep them from being sad or getting hurt in the future when they're an adult.
Yes.
And keep them, because when you're an adult, then you start getting adult consequences.
And that is a big thing. Basically everybody around me was always on me when you were a little one.
Mm-hmm.
They make fun of me. They'll be like, "Oh, you can't march them around like little soldiers. You're being too hard on them. Let them go." And it's, I did that when you were little
Yeah.
to teach you things then that I wouldn't have to now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get it.
Instantly worked.
My mom, my friend, people have gotten upset with me because I make this reference, but raising a kid in a lot of ways is like raising a puppy.
Yeah, as much as I hate to admit
if you want
it.
to have a family dog,
I like that one out there.
It's really hard to go to a pound and get a full-grown dog and make it be the dog you want.
Yeah, can't teach an
Not
old dog
saying
new
it's
trick.
impossible, but it's unlikely.
Yeah.
You go and you get a puppy and you raise it the way you want so that it fits with the family and it does what you teach it. If you have a child and you teach them early that there are rules and there's boundaries, and you talk to them and they know why those exist. These rules are here to keep you safe. They're here to protect our stuff because we care about the things we have and we want to protect it, and I want to protect you. And all of that is set with hard boundaries when you're young. No second chances. If you do something wrong, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You knew you weren't supposed to do it. Here's the consequence. You beat that into them when they're, figuratively speaking,
Yeah, don't beat your kids.
when they're little, it becomes part of who they are. They
Yeah.
understand that it's not you being mean or it's not you lashing out, that there's a reason that protects everybody involved.
Yeah.
Well, as they get older, understanding that is already part of them.
Mm-hmm.
If you let a kid be wild when they're little, their whole world is used to being chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when they become, 10, 11, 12, and, Lord forbid, in the
15,
teen
16.
years,
Yeah.
they're used to being wild their whole life. They're used to getting their way. They're used to acting out and not having those restrictions. You're taking a wild animal, letting it get effectively grown, and then trying to make it obey the rules.
Yeah.
You have to train young.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had that effect with you. I've got people around me that have kids that they were really lenient on when they were young that they can't control now.
Yeah.
Now that they're older and they're like, I don't understand why they are acting out. I don't understand why they're doing this. And it's like, well, because they grew up wild and now you're trying to tame them, but all they've
Yeah.
ever known is wild. And that's really hard to do as a parent, to find that middle ground of not being too lenient, but still being relatable, and not being too strict while
Maintaining
still
order.
being showing you care.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because it's very easy to go too hard, and then you're just a wall that's an obstacle to them, and they don't respect.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I found that I've done with you and the others is I never did baby talk.
Yeah.
Even when you was baby, everybody else, oh, it's so cute, what you baba, baba. Even when you started talking, you come up and you do the baby talk, baba, bottle, you want a bottle? You come up with these words, and anytime we reference, oh, you mean this, da da da.
Yeah.
And I wasn't being harsh. What I was doing was showing you the correct way to say it.
And you weren't being mean, like, oh, you stupid baby, you said baba.
No. And a lot of people, again, think that's kind of harsh, because you
Yeah.
should encourage them. You should be playful. And it's like, but your job is to teach them.
Yeah. Well, and it's
as
also...
you got a little bit older, one of the things I done as an extension of that, and I'll be honest, your mom hated it, but I've always, in a lot of ways, I don't necessarily treat you like you're grown, but I talk to you similarly to the way I would somebody who's grown.
Yeah.
Even when you was, 5, 6, and 7,
I mean,
I didn't treat you like you were a thing I owned and had dominion over. I talked to you the same way, and it gave you the same respect I would give to a buddy that come over and he's sitting on my couch and talking.
yeah. And that respect from a young age, I feel like, was one of the really big things. Feeling like validated and respected, while also like still being held in the confines of the rules, I think was a really big thing. But it's also like, I still remember, and I know you do because I go back to it all the time, but that conversation we had when I was like 8 to 10, that we sat down and genuinely just talked about, because you were playing that Assassin's Creed game, and we were just talking about like George Washington, and I remember Job came up in that conversation and all of that. And it was like, I didn't really understand everything that you were saying, but thinking back on it, there's a lot of it that makes sense to me now. That's kind of like, it's one of those things where it's weird what sticks with you. You know what I mean?
I can't tell you how many times throughout your life where I would tell you something, and either you would look at me like, and I could tell it didn't really click,
Yeah.
or it made you mad.
Yeah.
And
there were a couple times I got mad.
vastly disagreed with what I was saying. I look at you and I go, look, I know you don't agree with me now. I'm not talking to you now. I'm talking to the you in 10 years that's going to understand what I'm saying.
And I hate the fact that I hit that 10 years.
There's stuff that we've talked about that when you're 30 will finally click.
Yeah.
My dad told me something, and I've told you before.
Yeah.
The older I get, the smarter my dad gets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing for mom and dad. I'm not
Yeah, I know what you
partial,
mean.
but he was the one that told me. And that is so true because I take the same thing that was said to me when I was 5 that I haven't thought about since I was 5.
Yeah.
That there's sometimes I'll be sitting and in the middle of a conversation with you, I will say something and I'll move a certain way. And it's like a Vietnam flashback. All of a sudden, I'm the 5-year-old and I'm making the same movements, saying the same thing he did.
Mm-hmm.
Which again has led to a lot of this because
Yeah.
what I would not give to go back and hear just a handful of those conversations.
Yeah.
Because there is so much wisdom in the things that he said. He never went to college. You know, he come out of high school and immediately went to work for himself doing construction and
Sneaking on the boats.
you know, there
That story is just so crazy.
I would put him in a lot of ways toe to toe with some of the smartest people on earth. He may not be able to sit down and build a rocket in his garage. Who knows?
I mean, honestly, it's possible.
The stuff that he's done surprises me a lot.
It's kind of possible.
But when it comes to the wisdom, the things he's learned, oh my gosh, the life stories that he can sit and tell you.
He's a really good storyteller.
He can
too.
put
That's a big
you
part
there.
of it. Yeah, that's a really big part of it. Is he is just really good at storytelling.
And you know, I would say the same thing about my mom. I can't give her enough credit. And there's, you know, pretty deep stories and things that, you know, we may get into later that
we won't
would just blow your mind about her. I mean, above and all, I was blessed with amazing parents. I think that taking what they done for me and then trying to hand that down is, you know, everybody tries to do the best they can with what they have. I know every parent is different. Every child is different. I was just really blessed with great influences on both sides. And we had a good family. I mean, I was surrounded by good family.
Yeah, a strong family unit I feel like is really important. It really does take a village to raise a child.
It cannot be underestimated, the value of family. You know, that from birth I've taught you. You don't disrespect the family, you don't hurt the family, and family's always here. No matter what you need, we're always here. And if you can hold that together and we don't lie and we respect each other. If you can hold true to that, the family can get past anything.
Oh yeah.
You know, but those things are being lost and it's being replaced with to bring it back, this digital disconnect.
Yeah.
The more time people spend in their phones or their computers or whatever, the less time they talk.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and it's not even necessarily a problem with that because, like me and you, again, like Power World, you know, there's not a problem with communicating with them with family members and stuff like that over Power World, over technology. But you got to realize, you know, I can't just sit and talk to my grandma about video games, or I can't just play video games with my grandma. You know what I mean? You have to know, kind of.
When it's like we both play games and we like some of the same games, so us playing together. It's not about the game itself. It's not about playing the game that makes it valuable. It's the experience.
Yeah.
So, you know, we could sit and have this conversation right now, or we could do it through a headset. And at the end of the day, we could get the same points across. And we could talk. Now, I will fully admit that as far as a personal encounter, it's always going to be better in person.
Especially because you can walk around.
But when you get older, I mean, anybody that especially has a job and kids and things going on, it becomes very impractical it's a lot of times it's hard to get two people together.
Yeah.
But if you want
Good
to get
Lord, D&D
three,
groups.
4, 5 people in the same place at the same time on a regular basis, it's almost impossible.
Mhm.
Gaming, in a lot of ways, just becomes an avenue of getting people together. It's convenient because it's at your home, but you get to do things and have experiences together
Yeah.
when normally you wouldn't be able to be together. And I think they're comparable. I don't invalidate the experiences of people who do things together digitally.
Hmm.
You know, I've got friends that I haven't seen in untold years. I couldn't even tell you how many years it's been since I've physically seen them, but occasionally we'll still play a game together. We'll get
Hmm.
in a party together. They'll be in the chat group, and we'll have 5 or 6 people playing, and I still get to talk to them. Uh, and that wouldn't be possible except for having that digital world to kind of go into.
Yeah.
You know, it
And
can help with loneliness. It can help you reach out to people. There's so much good that comes from it.
but as with anything, it's two-sided.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the end all be all, but it's not the demon that it's made out to be either.
Yeah. I think humans in general just demonize anything we don't understand. I think that's what it is. I think I'd say that's the problem with AI, but AI is just doing deliberate evil in front of our faces. So that's one of the reasons that a lot of people don't like it, but that's part of the reason
It's
I don't
hard to
like
be
it.
mad at it
Yeah.
because it's just a thing.
I'm not as mad at the AI itself as I am the corrupt rich people that are trying to shove it down our throats because they put so much money behind it and now we don't want to pay it. Well, we don't want to use it. I mean, AI is in literally everything now. I know I was at work and one of my coworkers was, I think she was applying to college and she couldn't apply to the college except for using the AI chatbot. And the AI chatbot, that was when I tried to apply to, what was it? The Pizza Hut. I had to use an AI chatbot. There was no, put your number here, we'll call you. It was an AI chatbot.
Wow.
And but she was trying to apply to the college and she almost wasn't able to do it because the AI wasn't like it just wasn't working basically. She was just actually being straight rage baited by an AI because that was and it was almost affecting like getting into college. You know what I mean? Like it's shoved down every avenue because they've put so much money behind it. They want to get some return and some use. Like there was that one thing a while ago. I think it was McDonald's. I don't remember exactly, but it was a fast food restaurant that was trying to put AI in their headsets to make sure that people were saying please and thank you enough. And it was literally counting every time that you said please and thank you to make sure that you said it enough. And the whole thing was they were supposed to track productivity. I don't know how please and thank you translates to productivity because what if you say I appreciate? Well, I don't know. I can't think of it on the spot, but you know what I'm trying to say.
But I think that's one of the things where no matter how much people are against AI, it's too good of a tool for, in the long run, the only two types of people that matter: the government and businesses.
Mm-hmm. Which is so sad.
Because it allows the government to do everything that it wasn't able to do normally. It gives them access that they should never have. Business loves it because there are so many people that business will not have to employ because the AI can do it. And the sad truth is that it will do it better, more efficiently.
It will.
It'll never need a day off. It never needs to take a lunch break. It'll never be sick. It'll never have kids.
Doesn't need to be paid.
It'll never quit. It ain't got to be paid. I mean, and there are a lot of types of jobs where it doesn't really make mistakes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, why hire an accountant that you're going to have to pay $100+ a month? I mean, an hour. And it's going to take him a month to get through what you've turned in. when a computer could do it for nothing in a few seconds, maybe,
Yeah.
if that.
And well, that and like the factory is a really good, like factories are a really good example. Just factories don't even specifically use AI, honestly. They more use um just already like pre-pro. I don't know what the technical term for it would be. Just basic machinery, I guess. But like you really could just have an entire factory that is just AI, and you could even have down to AI fixing the machines. You know what I mean? And you would genuinely just be able to drop it and then move on to wherever next you want to go. And this is actually just passive income.
Well, you know, I've said for a long time, or quite a while, and I'm holding on to this idea. So if Walmart steals it, I want my cut. Since Walmart has started doing those automated, like where you online order, and
Yeah.
then people go through the store and they bag up your stuff for you, and you just show up, pick it up, and go. Of course, they've got delivery for that now, so you get it brought to your house.
Yeah.
It's gotten so common that there's not as many people in the store. And
Yeah.
I get aggravated going to the store because now all those people with those big carts are always in my way.
Yeah.
They almost run you over when they're coming around a corner, uh, or there are two of them in the same aisle, and you got to try to get through or stand there and wait till they get done. And they've got 15 different orders, so you might have to walk around an aisle and come around the other side.
Yeah.
Like they're just in the way, and it's made going to Walmart very inconvenient. But at a certain point, I don't know why they don't just have a store where the entire store is nothing but a
Warehouse, basically.
basically like a warehouse, and use a conveyor system and
Yeah.
make the building a giant vending machine
Honestly.
where all you do, you open the app, you place everything like you do now with the online pickup. You have it where it can be sent out in a delivery truck, or you have like they did with the drive-through pharmacy.
Mhm.
You pull up, you scan the QR code on your phone or barcode or however they want to do it, and then it pulls your order to the front. Two doors open up, and boom, there's your order. The conveyor system would be linked to everything in the store, so that if you want this brand of peanut butter, it'll just come off the shelf onto the belt,
Yeah.
and it goes to a bin. And the computers are already better at bagging than people are.
Yeah.
So it would know how much to put in a bag, spin it, fill the next bag, spin it, take a little crane and put it in the bin. So when you pull up, you never have to go in. The doors just open up, you grab your bags, set them in the car, you're off. They don't have to have the employees going through the store. They don't have to worry about people fighting with each other. Nobody's in anybody's way.
Yeah.
And I mean, you would only need one or two people there in case something got stuck or a belt stopped working. Maybe you got a small maintenance crew.
Even if
You don't need a bunch of clerks. You don't need a bunch of managers. You don't need 3 different shifts of people to
Yeah.
clog up the store.
That's one of I know that is one of the jobs at Walmart. Like it's less of an Uber thing where people would just walk in, and now Walmart specifically pays people. That's what one of my friends does there. The friend that we ran into last time, he just walks around the stores and just grabs stuff for the online orders, puts them in a specific spot, and then the Uber drivers, Walmart pickup people, they just come by, grab the order, and then take it wherever.
You figure out a way to do it with conveyors, you eliminate people entirely.
Exactly.
Now, I hate putting that idea out there because I want people to have jobs. Listen. But from the business side, it makes sense.
Yeah.
From the people side, it's a bad thing.
It is.
But the business is the one providing the service.
Yeah.
And they're always going to try to find a way to make money.
And make the most money.
So the AI coming in, and I mean, I can talk, and you can pay an engineer to try to figure out how to make those conveyors work. It may take them months or even years to figure out how to effectively do that with the supply that Walmart has. I mean, there's tens thousands of items in any given Walmart store.
Yeah.
But you tell an AI, here's our space, here's how many objects we have, and here's the dimensions of those objects. Build me this system.
Yeah.
How long would it take it to figure it out? You tell it what you want it to do, what it wants to look like, and boom, you got it. I mean, it's just, there's no end to the profitability.
There really isn't.
And you can argue, well, that's bad, people are going to lose jobs. But you look at a factory versus a car factory now versus a assembly line back when Henry Ford first come up with it. I mean, it took hundreds of people to move a car. Now there's just a handful of people, and most of it's robots anyway.
Yeah. People there are kind of just to make sure everything goes smoothly.
Yeah. And there's certain jobs that the robots can't do because they require you to move around and kind of adapt on the fly. But once AI is good enough, it'll be better at it than the people.
Yeah.
I mean, the hard part is eventually you end up with a society where you don't need people. But the $1 million question is, if people don't work because the AI and robots are doing it all, how do people get money? So even though you're able to make all of this stuff, who buys it?
Yeah.
And that's the problem we're kind of falling back on. I mean, the utopian idea that the robots do the work and you do what you want to, you still got to figure out how to pay people. How do you determine who gets what? And that's always the hard part. So, and I don't even come close to having an answer for that one.
Yeah, I don't either. I could sit and think all day, but that's not one of those things that you can just answer.
Mm-mm. The scary thing is, a lot of things are just going to have to play out, and we'll see what happens. We'll have to try to adapt. They made the same concept when Eli Whitney come out with the cotton gin.
Mm-hmm.
When they come up with the automobile, they were raging because what are we going to do with all the horses? And the people who take care of the horses, and the street cleaners that picked up the poop out of the streets,
Yeah. Well, the street cleaners just got put out of business.
We adapted, and we found a way to survive and a way to thrive. And I think assuming we don't wipe ourselves out or become some kind of dystopian nightmare, we'll figure it out. So
we're gonna have to.
We don't have a choice.
Yeah, we really don't.
Figure it out or die. There's only two options. So. But I'd argue either way. This whole thing with constantly being observed, with AI always watching, if we let them have access to it, the businesses and the governments will benefit from that panopticon.
Mm-hmm.
And what's got everybody so mad is that while they're the guards, we end up becoming the prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
We're the ones that's going to have to carry the stress. We'll be the ones dying of heart attack and burnout and all this. And that's why I think they have to push it so hard. They need to get it through so fast. Because if people really stop and think about it, and if they ever figure out a way to really fight back against it, they're the ones that will lose.
I think that's why they're taking such a hard stance against the flock cameras, because the flock cameras is the first time in a long time where you've seen a lot of people, regardless of political party, regardless of any other things, you've seen older people and younger people go around and destroying flock cameras, because no matter what, nobody wants to be surveilled. But you haven't seen something like this that brings people together to fight a cause in a while. And I think that's why they're cracking so hard on people destroying flock cameras.
And I think that's part of the American spirit. I don't know how it is in other countries.
I want to.
But I know here, I think there's a concept, and I've used it from outside sources a lot.
Yeah.
I vividly remember like when 9/11 happened, and, there was this whole concept of they've woken a sleeping bear.
Yeah.
And I think that's true in more ways than one.
With 9/11
You know,
or with
America
our current circumstances?
with both. I think
Okay.
it's true in both.
Oh, okay, okay. I got you.
Um,
Parallel.
because then it was an outside source that attacked America. And America, we were living high, and everybody was just sitting over here fat and happy, and we wasn't guarding the gate.
Yeah, we were coming off that war economy too.
Somebody left the gate open, and bam, we got hit. And then all of a sudden, 9/12 happened. 9/11, people were crying, people were scared, people were upset. 9/12, America came together. It didn't matter if you was white or black or on the left or the right, if you was rich or poor. On 9/12, we were all Americans, and we stood together. And I think in some ways the government weaponized that against us, and we got things like the Patriot Act and the NSA and all of that. But as people, we stood together. Now, how it refers to today, we're not so much facing an outside force. We are, but it's not like the country as a whole is against another country or a foreign adversary. The problem is that our rights are being violated by our government and our businesses. So by forcing it on us, they're making an us and them mentality where for the common people, if they're the us, then them becomes big business and big government. Now, if they were smart, they would figure out a way to do it over time by pushing the benefits without the aggressive enforcement.
Yeah, because now they're just pushing aggressive reform.
Because you look at how well Google and Apple and these other companies have done. The tech companies, they mastered it.
Yeah.
They gave us convenience. They give us benefits. They gave us things we enjoy. And look how fast
Yeah, technology really took off.
the cell phones and the tech companies took over the world because they just kept giving us more stuff.
Yeah.
And they made it where it's so inconvenient not to have it that everybody wants it.
That's a really big part about it. I think
Now,
so many more people would rather not have technology, but because it makes your life so much harder without it, people have them.
well, and I'm one of those.
Yeah.
Like, I hate having a smartphone. But if you're going to do banking, if you're going to do anything with the government, I mean, it's all done through apps. You're going to apply for a job, you got to do it through an app.
I mean, we were having problems with our internet.
Yeah, the only way I was able to get a hold of them, I had to do this whole big rigmarole in the beginning with the online before they would even talk to me.
Yeah.
I tried calling them first, got to do it online.
Yep.
Went through all that, and of course it didn't work. And eventually I had to go through and brute force my way to a person, and within minutes, we're done.
Yeah.
Had somebody sent out, I got a person there, it's fixed.
That dude was so cool.
Yes. I doubt he will ever listen to this, but if Edward from Spectrum is ever listening, that guy is amazing.
He was so cool and he was so nice.
He knew his stuff, and he was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But
he seemed friendly. He reminded me of like the old, like when you think about like old commercials and they're like, our workers feel like friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what he reminded me of. It was so cool.
If you'd have recorded him in black and white, it would have been like a 50s milk guy commercial where he shows up and he's like, hello, Tommy.
Yeah, he'd make a good Spectrum commercial, honestly. Well, and it's stuff like that, though, that I don't think companies, I don't think that they don't grasp them. I just don't think they really care. Because, like, some people just want personable business. You know what I mean? They just want to feel like they're doing business with a person and not an entity. You know what I mean?
Well, when it comes to a company, you've got two types of people that matter.
Seller and buyer.
The customer and the investor.
Yeah.
The investor demands profit at all costs. make me money or I'm out. And without investors, without people with stakes in the company, there is no company, there's no product. Customer doesn't get served. Without no customer, the investors don't make money. The investor goes away, there's no company. So it's always been about a balance. You've got to make money, but you need to provide good service.
Yeah.
And the only way you ever get that, if people, businesses will always revert to what people truly care about. People will sit and tell you they care about privacy, but they have a Gmail account.
Yeah.
I care about privacy is one of the most important things.
But you have an iPhone.
But you got an iPhone and you downloaded TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook, which you post on all the time and put information out there.
Not a
You
whole lot of
sign up for
privacy.
those stupid newsletters so that you get a 5% discount. You've got a
No, there's no
Sam's
way people
Club
actually do
membership
that.
or a Walmart membership. I know somebody that lives religiously by the dollar store app so that they get all the coupons and the
Well, okay,
discounts.
something like that maybe, but I mean like if you're actually putting your email in on newsletters, you just got to expect a scam.
If people didn't do it, they wouldn't exist.
I mean, and that's the problem. That's the problem.
You know, there's the idea of voting with your dollar, and there's not a truer thing
Well, I don't
because
think
Google is valuable. But if everybody quit using search and everybody quit using Gmail and nobody was ever on there, nobody
Yeah.
fed into their system, nobody buys their phones, nobody does anything with them, there's zero engagement, they cease to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't make our money off of us, they make up money off selling that data.
Yeah.
If they don't have the data, they don't exist.
Yeah.
So if everybody really believed in what they stood for or what they say they stand for, they would just stop using it.
Well, the big problem with Google now is in order to stop using Google, you'd have to stop using Google. You'd have to stop using YouTube. You'd have to stop using so many different apps rather than just Google at this point because they've reached, I mean, something as simple as like the I mean, it's pretty obvious, you know, but like the Google Nests.
There's no telling how many companies you'd have to stop doing business
Yeah,
with.
I don't know all of the companies that Google
mean, you
has
look at-
outreach to, but
Stuff like Coke or
yeah,
Pepsi. Or,
those are really good examples.
you know, there's companies that you don't think about. You know, Coke owns, I believe, hundreds of brands.
Yeah, they do have a lot.
And
Coke
food
also-
brands. I mean,
Yeah, I was gonna say
you
Coke
look
also
back
has non-food or non-drink
I
brands.
think almost everything you consume comes from just 4 or 5 different major brands.
Yeah.
I mean, shy of cutting off your water and power and going and living in a self-sustained cabin in the woods somewhere and never interacting with society, it's almost impossible to break free from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because something as simple as say you never had a single electronic device. All you did was have a house, and again, not a single electronic device in that house. Say you don't even have Wi-Fi, but simply by having electricity and by having water. Are there any other utilities that I'm not thinking of?
Well, depending on where you are, internet's considered a utility.
Well, I'm saying if you didn't even get internet, say you refused internet.
Okay, so I mean the main one's water, gas, and lights.
Okay, so
Electricity.
water, yeah, so say you only got water, gas, and lights. Even if you never had a single electronic device, you went in, say you were still using caveman tablets to carve out, right? Oldest, whatever. Just the fact that you are getting the water, electricity, and gas means that those companies are filing you on their stuff, which uses Google. So they're still getting information, even though you're not online in literally any capacity.
Yeah. And then you got, you know, Google's not the only one. I mean, you look at
Yeah,
like
Google's not.
Amazon storage solutions.
Yeah.
You know, they do it as well. And then them companies share data back and forth.
Yeah.
So it's becoming more and more difficult every day. And as long as you engage in it, you know, if you value watching your YouTube videos more than you value your privacy, then
Can't complain when you ain't
you
got
can
privacy.
say, I value privacy. But it's not the most important thing.
Yeah.
Your entertainment is.
Yeah. YouTube hates me. I get a new pop-up every day. You better not be using an ad blocker. Guess what? Opera GX's built-in ad blocker, they update every time YouTube updates to block their ad blocker. They update to unblock it from the. It's so amazing. I love it so much because recently my ad blocker hasn't been working on YouTube, and Opera GX fixed their ad blocker today, and now it's working on YouTube again. I'm so happy. I love Opera GX so much. Non-sponsored, not sponsored, but I would they sponsor people. We could be. But no, I just love Opera GX in general. I saw a video that it was a scam though, so I don't know how true that is. I'm gonna have to look into that. I don't know how it could be a scam. I mean, everything's a scam in some variety, but
Well,
it was a free download, so it's probably selling my data.
I seen a video the other day where they was talking about the, at this point VPNs are next to useless because
Yeah,
they don't block anything anymore. They can be tracked. And,
yeah. I was just I don't use the VPN or anything. The only thing I have it for two reasons. One, it's really customizable and I just like it. Okay, this really sounds like an ad now, but it's just really customizable and I like it. Like you saw I've got the Arcane background from that show. Well, the background from Arcane, and that ad blocker is just so nice. Being able to watch YouTube on my second monitor and just never worry about ads is so amazing. It does, however, fun fact, on YouTube, if you're using an ad blocker, it doesn't count your view for that video for the channel. That's why if you've ever heard like a viewer be like, yeah, I turn my ad blocker off when I watch your videos, that's why they're saying that. Because there was a big drop. I get most of my news from Ping and Zero. I'm gonna keep it a buck. But he made a video on it because people were covering it because all of a sudden everybody's views on YouTube dropped one day. And it was the day that they implemented that. And what it was about a third of it went away because about a third of people are watching YouTube on PC with an ad blocker. And so they just stopped. If you're watching it with an ad blocker, they don't even get a view at all.
So it don't count. Not only do you not get ad revenue, but you don't get the view.
Well, you don't get ad revenue. You don't even get the number. It's not even that they don't pay you for it. You don't even get the number.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They got to make their money somehow.
I mean, I understand it. I just don't care.
It's a free service.
Yeah, like when I made YouTube videos, if people watched my stuff, which I don't even think I could do ads, but if I could make ads and people watched it with the ad blocker, I wouldn't care.
We know nothing's free.
Well, yeah.
And a good rule to live by. If you are not paying for a product, you are the product.
Well, I think a big problem nowadays is no matter what, you're the product. Even if you're paying for it, you're still the product now.
Yeah. Well, that's because we don't live in a currency economy. We're starting to live in an attention economy.
And a data economy.
Well, yeah. But the data is for your eyeballs because
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
revolves around ad revenue at this point.
Yeah.
It's crazy how many industries just work off of the ad revenue as opposed to buying a product.
Yeah, dude, it's kind of crazy.
It's
That feels like a pretty.
Yeah, I think it's about time to wrap it up.
I mean, I feel like it's safe to say we're not as worried about time limits. I mean, I think it's just good to just get a conversation out there. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's the entire point of this.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a conversation. We're necessarily linked to a specific time or whatever. It kind of defeats the purpose.
You can't just be like, we're going to have a conversation, but let me tell you, in an hour and a half, in an hour and 15 minutes on the dot, it stops. That's not a conversation. You know what I mean? You're just going to be worried about the time the whole time. But.
And that's the whole point of this. We'll just see where it goes and see what we get out. And if anybody ever wants to listen to it, then great. If not, we got our record.
Yep.
So we're going to have fun with it no matter what.
Make sure this Library of Alexandria don't burn down.
Yeah. Oh, before we go, we need to tell people about these mics.
Oh,
I'm really proud of these mics.
We're not sponsored, but he wanted to talk about the Hollyland mics. I just got them off Amazon. I think it's Hollyland. The Hollyland Lark A1. They're this really does sound sponsored.
Well, I mean, I know it sounds sponsored, but I just wanted to, because when we did this, we just took a shot in the dark.
Yeah,
and was like, hey, maybe they work, maybe they don't. They're really good.
Yeah, this is the official non-sponsored review. That's what it is.
Yeah, if anybody would, has the idea, because personally, I hope we inspire other people to do this, because if I think if there were a lot more people that were sitting down having these conversations and maybe even recording them, not putting them online, just for
Just
their
keeping them
own
for
personal
themselves.
records. Uh, you need
Yeah.
this to do it, and we don't need anything more than a mic and a cell phone to connect it to.
Just
And
make sure you get the right port.
yes,
I did
but
not get the right port.
that is amazing. I wish every parent could sit down and do this with their kid and have it recorded and have it record. So if anybody is inspired to do that by us, which hopefully somebody is,
We
that is
appreciate it.
a great place to start.
Which, and they have a newer model, but I don't know about that one. But this one, the again Hollyland Lark A1, it was like $39.99 on Amazon. You get two of them. It's $39.99 for the Type C port, which is the one that I got, which is why it didn't work because I have an Apple. But we just got a plug-in thing, and they've got another one that's like $79.99, I think, that comes with both ports. So, but it's, I mean, it's really good. It works amazingly. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully you can hear it and it sounds amazing. You know what I mean?
So whether you get a mic or record it or not, definitely take some time, talk to your kids, treat them with respect, listen to what they got to say. You have no idea how much in the long run it'll make a difference between you and them and for them as they get older. I can't recommend it highly enough.
Yeah, and as the kid, it just feels amazing to be able to sit down and tell somebody everything, especially your parent. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing just being able to talk. But I'm good if you are.
All right, I'm good. We'll do it again later.
All right.